fellow Crusaders, and welcome to our half-year in review. My name's Sean Waskrug. With me, as always, is Brian Michaels. It is the end of June, which means we are now 6 months through 2026, which means that we have a ton of movies to talk about, as we are now going to give you our top 10 best, worst, surprising, and disappointing films of the year so far. We do this every year. It's always in the middle of the summer. Where we are always in the mindset of nothing has really wowed us. Usually it's been, we always call it like the year of mid when we get to run this time. There's a lot of like 3.5, maybe a few 4s, but then there's always a couple that will sneak through going, that was amazing. And a lot of just disappointments. And it's the latter half of the year where it really kind of rounds out our end of the year rankings. But I will say, I think the last 2 years in a row, if I'm not mistaken, I think our last 2 years in a row, our number one movie was, at year's end, was our number one at the half year. Fall Guy was number one for both of us last year at this time. And our number one last year, I'm blanking all of a sudden on what it was, but I'm pretty sure it was our number one joint number one last year as well.
I don't recall.
I was say I don't remember.
This is how much we remember these years.
This is how many movies that we watch.
And then what movie last year? Do we both have Sinners?
Yeah, it was Sinners. Yeah, which was in April. So that's the thing is, like, we always say it's the year of mid, but both of our number ones 2 years in a row came out in April, and then the rest of the year just couldn't match it. So take that for what you will. I said this to Brian last night. I can't remember if I said this on the Supergirl review or not. My top 10 is the weirdest top 10 I've ever had. There are so many movies in my top 10 right now that I'm like, I would never bet that these movies would be in my top 10 currently. And I even told Brian before we got on today, I was like, I love my top 5. I know, unless we have a really shit last 6 months, my top 5 my top 2 will definitely probably still be in my top 10, but my 3, 4, and 5, which I love, probably will not still be in my top 10. And I think you said that you felt kind of the same way with that.
Yeah, I definitely have a top 10 that I would not have seen coming. It's weird, kind of like yours. And like you, I think there's just a couple at the top that I'm fairly certain will be in the top 10 at the end of the year. A few that I'd be okay with if they're still there, and some that they're not going to be. They're definitely not going to be there.
Yeah. Like I said, I would be happy if my 3, 4, and 5 were still in my top 10, but that would also mean that the upcoming 6 months is going to be a rather big disappointment. There's some real big hitters coming out here in the next 6 months, so I don't want to see them in there, but I wouldn't be upset if they were still in there. But they better not be 3, 4, and 5. If they stay 3, 4, and 5, we have a real shitty next 6 months. But
I will say, and I'm going to go ahead and give you a disclaimer I always give, is 2 things. One, these are the lists based on what we have seen so far. We both have like a list of films that came out that we have not been able to see yet, just didn't get around to or whatever. So there may be films that you think, why isn't this on the list? We maybe haven't seen it yet. Also, the other thing is as we are always discussing, is this is our list as of today. Because we're constantly shuffling like our list in the order of things, and tomorrow it might be completely different. Also, Sean said at the beginning we're doing top 10 lists for all these 4. We are not doing it for all 4 of them, because every year there seems to be one category, at least at the half year point. Yeah. There always seems to be one category we can't quite fill out. This year that was surprising.
Yeah, last year I think it was disappointing, and the year before that it was worst.
Yeah.
So half year, it's just like, yes, we've seen a lot of movies so far. I've seen more movies in the first 6 months right now than I think I've ever seen since we've been shooting the show. But even at that point, I have a rule. Brian doesn't have this rule, but I have this rule that if a movie is in my top 10 or top 10 best or worst, they're not allowed to also be in the surprising or the disappointed rankings. So for me, with surprising, I've got 5 movies in my top 10 that 100% would be in most surprising for me, which would have rounded out my top 10 for that. But like I said, I don't like mixing them together. I like giving a movie its due. If it's a top 10 movie, then it deserves to be in the top 10, not also be surprising. So because of that, I really could only come up with 5, and even then, it's a very weak 5, surprising for me, without those ones in the ranking. And Brian had a hard time even getting to 3. Surprising.
I got 5. I pulled 5.
I know, but you were like, I got 3, but it's gonna be really hard to get 2 more. And like I said, the same thing goes with disappointed as well as worst. I think it was 2 years ago with worst. We were like, there's only like maybe 2 or 3 movies that's just outright awful. And
yeah, there's like these are the 10
like,
bottom films on my list, but those eight of those are fine.
You know? Yeah, so like I think 2 years ago, I think you gave like 2 movies, and I think I gave like 3.
Yeah,
and like that was it. By year's end, though, we were fine, and we were able to round out our 10, sadly. But so yeah, surprising is only going to be a top 5, and then everything else will have their top 10.
And I do only have one overlap on each of those lists. So
you only have one.
Well, I have one overlap on disappointed that's also on worst, and one overlap on surprising that's on best.
Honestly, for Brian, that's astonishing.
Normally, I have like 3 or 4.
Exactly, it's usually almost half your list. And like he said about these lists constantly changing, I told him that like my 3, 4, and 5 best of the year could literally flip on what was the one I watched last.
I've been known to change the order of my list as I'm reading them off on this show. I'm like, no, I think I'm going to switch that.
My disappointed top 10 has changed every time I looked at it. I've looked at it like 6 times since yesterday, and each time I've shuffled it around. And we could be literally in the midst of this, and I will probably shuffle it again.
Well, that's just it. And then we were talking beforehand. I'm like, do we even rank disappointed and surprises, or we just say these are what they are? Because like it's kind of hard to compare why you're disappointed, how much you're disappointed of things. So we have a tentative ranking, but take those with a grain of salt.
Well, that and Brian's version of disappointing is different than my version of disappointing. Because for me, I'm always going to go into a movie with some expectations, whether it's like low or high. I still expect every movie to be good. And while my disappointed, I think I told Brian before we got on, I was like, 9 out of my 10 disappointing are at least a 3-star or higher. One's a 2.5. So even though they're getting positive reviews, they still just didn't match what we expected out of them. And with that, it's just there's different levels of disappointment that I might be more upset and angry towards one, but then you're like, well, Sean, you gave it 3.5 stars. Yeah, but I expected it to be 4.5, or I expected it to be this. I expected it to hit me in a way that it did not match that. And that's why it could be, rated number 2 disappointment, but also, is on like my 20th of the year. It's just like, yeah, I liked it, but it also did not hit the way I wanted it to hit, kind of thing. I think I even have one that's in the top 10 for disappointing right now that is in my top 15 for the year for best. So that's how my brain works. Now here's the part where I get embarrassed because I'm so proud of how many movies I've got to watch this year so far, and then Brian's going to embarrass me by probably being like 20 more than me. I checked my numbers this morning, and I am at 76 watched films for 2026. That doesn't count movies that came out in other years. These are just 2026 releases. I'm at 76 movies. I'm sure Brian's in the 90s or the hundreds.
Mine's not that different. Mine's only at 86.
Wow.
I think you watched like 70 of those in the past week, didn't you?
I did. I have watched like 10 movies in the past 3 days. I will admit. I told Brian, I was like, I am literally trying to binge as much as I can to get my scores up. Because I told Brian at the beginning of the year, I go, I want to average at least 10 new movies or 10 2026 movies a month, which means that by the end of the year, I'll be at 120. And so I was, because of the move and everything, I had kind of fallen behind. And so I was like, I need to get these movies watched, before we shoot this, but also just
now you
so
also still didn't have the free time to do it. So
that too. And so now I'm at 76. So in terms of where I'm at, I'm +6 going into July right now. But I'm honestly happy that I'm at only 10 away from you. Usually I'm like 20 plus behind you because Brian watches everything under the moon.
I think
it's always the most random shit too, because it's like I'll have like, I watched all these. You're like, yeah, I didn't watch any of those, but I still have 20 more movies watched than you.
Well, that's the thing is I definitely have some weird, obscure things that I watch, but at the same time, I think part of the reason I had trouble making some of this like worst list and stuff is that I think I have actually been more selective sometimes. I'm more willing lately to be like, I have no interest in that. I'm just not going to watch it.
See, and I'm like that, except for when I look at my bottom and I'm like, I need to watch some shitty things to pad this. And so,
I would
like,
willingly watch shitty movies.
so that way we have something to talk about on the show. Like, case in point, and I'm not. This is the only mention I'm going to get for this because it actually did not end up being on my worst. I made myself watch Little Brother on Netflix this weekend, expecting it to be in my bottom 10 for this show. And I'll admit the first 15, 20 minutes is rough. But after that, it actually found its footing. And
spoiler alert, now it's in his top 10.
No, God, no. I gave it 2.5. But it kind of won me over by the end. And so I watched it with the mindset that it was going to be bad and it was going to be in my bottom 10 for the show. And it ended up being in the middle of where everything else was. And I was like, all right, well, okay, cool. But damn it, that was the whole point of this was that this was going to suck and it was going to be on my bottom 10. So sometimes it works that way. And other times it doesn't. So that's why, like you said, why do you watch shitty things? Well, because sometimes they surprise you. You know, more times than not, they're right on the money. Like you watch The Munsters or Home Sweet Home Alone, and you're like, yeah, that was two of the worst fucking films I've ever seen. Well, what did you expect? Exactly what I got. But I had to make my numbers look strong. So as we go ahead and jump into this, I know every time I ask you this, we always kind of get the same answer, but I'm going to ask it again because it's a half-year review. How have you felt about 2026 so far?
I've been pretty pleased with it. I think we've had a good amount of, really good movies. I don't know that I have more than a couple like movies I love that have come out. But there's definitely been a good chunk of good movies. Like I said, I've seen a few bad ones, but I've skipped a lot as well. So I can't say that, how all the bad ones are. I will say this. I think that this year, it's kind of been going this way the last couple of years, but this year especially, there's fucking too much horror coming out. I just want to say that. Like, of my 86 films, I filtered by genre. 32 of them are horror films, or at least as one of their genres is horror films. And then I thought back on it, like every week there's one or two. There's Passenger and Obsession and Hokum, and every week there's some little mid-budget or low-budget horror film coming out. And it's like, I'm kind of getting a little tired of it. I mean, yes, there's some really good ones that come out once in a while, but it's like, can we just not overdo this?
Can we please? And none of them ever come out in October. That's the weird thing. Is like they'll be all throughout the year, and then October, crickets. And it's like, you're not coming out in the one fucking month you should be coming out in. But yeah, no, because like I remember last year at the end of the year, one of my buddies who watches, he's like, dude, 8 out of your bottom 10 were horror. You must not like horror. I go, no, I love horror. I do. I hold it at higher regard because there's a lot of cliche bullshit that people do just to be cheap. I go, but there's so many of them that a lot of them are really just fucking bad. It's like,
The majority of my bottom 10, I will say, the majority of it is horror movies. But it's because I went into them wanting them to be good. I didn't go to anything saying this is going to suck. But it's just like, and I definitely have some rated higher, but because there's so many of them, a lot of them ended up at my bottom.
I will say 6 to 7 out of my bottom 10 are considered horror films. So sorry, guys. And some of them are probably going to piss people off too. Because usually the ones that get the most praise are the ones that Brian and I, especially me, tend to like the least.
Oh yeah, be happy we're not doing overrated, underrated right now for half a year.
That's we still got another 6 months before we come out with that video.
And we'll have plenty to say on many movies for that.
Yes. So I would say for me for 2026, I'm inclined to agree with you. A, there's been too much horror. B, I feel like the movie, it's been a real solid year. It hasn't been a year of mid, which is what we call it when it's just kind of like a bunch of middling films. I do think it's been more positive than negative on a lot of things, but the thing that's been, I don't know if I want to call this a good thing or not. It's been the stuff that we expected to be really good have just been kind of all right. And the stuff that we were expecting to just be all right have surprised us greatly and have been awesome. And so it's been like just a weird, influx where we'll watch these kind of average films and they're like, oh yeah, well, they were exactly what we expected them to be. And the big movies are either really, really good or really, really bad. Whereas now it's like the really big movies are just kind of like, yeah, they really didn't match with what I thought. And then like, here's this little movie on Hulu or Netflix or whatever. It's like, that was amazing. Like, I love that so much. So it's been a weird year about that. And I will say for me, in terms of my ratings, I'm not a big 3.5 star guy. I'm usually like a 3 or a 4, but I have so many 3.5 star films this year. Because normally I'm usually like I want to say like Brian is more of an auto 3-star guy, and I'm more of an auto 4-star. Like it's like I liked it 4 stars, or Brian's like it was fine 3 stars. But I have definitely been doing a lot of 3.5s. And
yeah, I if you look at like how they like on Letterboxd, you can see that like bar graph.
Yeah,
it's like mine is always kind of a bell curve. But definitely, especially this year, like 3 and 3.5 is the vast majority of my 86 films so far.
Yeah, and I think I told Brian I only have 2 movies this year that have had 4.5 star. I have no 5 stars and I have no half-star films. Brian said you didn't have any 4.5s. Everything's been 4 to 1 star.
No, my highest ones are 4 so far, and my lowest ones I have 1 star, and then it's 2 stars and up. I don't have any 1.5 or half-star movies actually.
Yeah. So yeah, that's been our 2026 in review. Now let's go to the rankings. What do you want to start on? You want to start on disappointing, surprising, worst?
Well, we're gonna end on positive. So let's start. Yeah, let's alternate them. So let's go negative, positive, negative, positive. So let's go disappointed.
Is he disappointed? Okay.
Yeah.
So let me pull up my disappointed. Now, I will once again preface this. Disappointing doesn't mean bad. Disappointing means it did not match what we were hoping.
What we hoped for, expected versus where it was, and the disparity there. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, my lowest rated disappointing film is 2.5, and most of them are 3s, 3.5s. I got 1 4-star in here. So these are not movie. When we say this movie, it by no means means we hated that film. It just means that it disappointed us to what we expected it to be. Do we want to go 1-1 or 10-6,
Sure.
10-6? How do you want to do it?
We can alternate, just throw it up.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead with your number 10?
All right, my number 10. Again, mine are kind of sort of rated, but not really. My number 10 disappointment is 28 years later at the Bone Temple. Now this one it only made number 10 because I didn't love the last film. There were things about it I liked. There was like Aaron Taylor Johnson, especially. I like him in the movie, and they seem like in Ray Fiennes, it seemed like they're going to go somewhere good with him. So it came to this movie. I was actually optimistic because I'm like, okay, now they're getting to, we're going to get some more action. It'll be more exciting. We're going to get more into Ray Fiennes' character. I knew that was a big thing of it, and so and the trailers look good. And I watched the movie, and while Ray Fiennes was great, and his scenes were great, and actually, anything with the Alpha was great. No Aaron Taylor Johnson to be seen entire movie. He's just still wandering the countryside somewhere else.
I don't think he's even wandering. I think he just is still at home.
Yeah, we're pretty much spending the entire movie following this Jimmy gang, who they look stupid and they act stupid. And while I think that Jack O'Connell is doing a good performance in that role, which is it's kind of a lot like his Sinners role actually, but I think he's doing a good job in that role. I just didn't care about following them for this whole movie. And so there were scenes I liked, but overall I was disappointed by it. But it just squeezed this in my number 10.
Yeah, that one I didn't have ranked in my disappointing because I didn't have high hopes for it because I didn't really care for 28 years later either. Mm-hmm. But like you, I really enjoyed the Ray Fiennes parts. I enjoyed O'Connell's Jimmy. I didn't really care about the rest. And the Alpha stuff was very interesting. And I think one of the highlights of the year was definitely Ray Fiennes' devil performance. That is still one of my favorite moments of the year, hands down. So yeah, it didn't fall on any of my lists. I think if anything, it would have fallen on surprising for me because I went in with such low expectations. And I, like I said, the first 20 something minutes of it, I was like, I don't like this at all. but then it won me over by the end. My number 10, Brian has not seen, so he's not going to be able to weigh anything in on this because he refuses to see it. And that is Super Mario Galaxy.
Oh. Yeah. It's not a refusal. It's just I'm not
you don't want to watch it. It's fine.
I know, but I'm not interested. It's not like, oh, I refuse to watch that movie.
Well, you don't want to watch the Mario movies, so that's just what it is. When Super Mario Brothers came out a couple years back, a lot of people attacked it for being too basic or too simple, and I defended that, going, they just needed to get a movie out there to show that they can do it, and then the sequel they can go, and do whatever they want to do, and that's basically what they did here with Super Mario Galaxy. The movie is not bad by any means. It's beautifully shot. It's very colorful. But I feel like whereas the first film was very tight and simplistic, this one, they decided, let's throw everything in. And they really should have kind of tightened its story up a little bit, because you have too many plot lines, too many storylines happening. You have too many characters that to the point where it even felt like, even though Mario and Luigi are at the forefront, their plot is not like, I really don't even know what the hell their plot is. Their plot is to tag along with Peach. And Peach has got the main storyline. And then there's this whole Bowser storyline. And then Star Fox shows up, who I love. But he's basically pretending to be Han Solo in animated form, which, once again, not an awful thing, but just did not need to be in this movie. Then there's a subplot with Rosaline or Rosalina or something, and there's just and then there's the plot line with the Toads, and there's just too many things happening. It's entertaining. There are some really good sequences in the film, but at the end of the day, as we were watching it going, I don't really know what Mario and Luigi's motivations are for this movie, other than just tagging along because they're the leads. And it's like, while I did enjoy the film, I do think the first film was way superior in terms of what they were setting out to do, strength of story, and everything. Because this was just more, now we need to set up the Nintendo Galaxy. So that way we can do spin-offs and everything and all this kind of stuff. Much like when Despicable Me 2, you could tell they were really trying to push towards, hey, we're going to start making Minions movies. And they started giving the Minions way more to do. And you're like, why the fuck are we focusing on them? Whereas, like I said, with this, it just felt like they were trying to spawn spin-offs for everything, which I'm down to watch them, but it didn't make the movie itself that strong. Like I said, I still enjoyed it, but it wasn't as good. Like I said, Brian never saw it, so Brian has
my next one was the Amazon Prime original movie, Balls Up.
This is disappointing?
This is disappointing, only because I didn't even know anything about this movie. We saw the trailers. I'm like, okay, it seems like, Mark Wahlberg and Paul Hauser, it seems like they have a good chemistry together. It felt like a modern version of Tommy Boy is definitely what they were trying to sell it as, at least. And we're like, okay, this looks like it could be entertaining. It's directed by Peter Farrelly, who's one of the Farrelly brothers who did, Kingpin and Dumb and Dumber and Something About Mary. And then even just like a couple of years ago, it was last year, Ricky Stenicki, which I think we both enjoyed. I mean, didn't love
Ricky
it, but
Stenicki was solid.
It was still solid. And so I'm like, okay, he's doing another Prime movie. Let's check it out. And it was just not good. So I mean, while I didn't, again, this isn't like, I'm not saying I had super huge expectations for it, thinking it was going to be one of the best films of the year or anything. The trailers looked fun, and what we got was absolutely not. So just on that level, just disappointed.
I will 100% be talking about this later in another category, so I'll reserve everything I'm going to say for later. My number 9 is, I believe, my only 4-star that was in my disappointing. Like I said, and it's at 9, so it's like I still really enjoyed the movie, but it wasn't quite what I was hoping for, and that's Masters of the Universe. I really enjoyed it. Thought Jared Leto's shockingly awesome portrayal of Skeletor. That's the biggest surprise right there for me, was that was good. But there were certain aspects of the film that I felt like just didn't quite match what I was hoping for. And a lot of it was the humor, which with Travis Knight, he's always good with the humor. And there are funny moments in this movie, but there's a lot of moments that are just flatlined. A lot of it is usually Adam's HR jokes. They didn't hit at all for me, not a single time. I think I love her and adore her to death. I feel like Alison Brie was, I don't want to say miscast as Evelyn, but she was not utilized to her potential for Evelyn. I feel like she could have been maybe a different character instead of Evelyn, and we could have seen Alison Brie be awesome like she usually is. And like I said, the Earth stuff was very much. Luckily, it didn't spend too much time on Earth, but the Earth stuff did not hit for me as well. When they were on Eternia, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they were on Eternia, I thought the movie was awesome and fun, and I loved the opening where they were given the whole story of how Skeletor took over and everything like that. That was great. I think the action sequences when we got them were great. I think character designs all looked great. It's just there were certain aspects of the film that just did not hit, which is why it popped up on disappointed, because I really wanted this movie to be straight to the moon, amazing. And it just was like, yeah, that was really good. I really enjoyed it, but there were things that didn't work. So, yeah.
I'll talk about that in a different section.
Gotcha.
My next one is Fuse. This is the film with Aaron Taylor Johnson, Theo James, Gugu Mbatha-Raw, Sam Worthington. This is a movie that I saw was coming out, and the plot was like, okay, whatever. But I really like the cast, especially, we love Aaron Taylor Johnson. I'm a big fan of Gugu Mbatha-Raw. So I was looking forward to it. The trailer looked nice and tense. I thought it could be interesting. And I watched it, and for like 2/3 of the movie, I really was enjoying it. And then it just, in that last kind of act, or maybe an act and a half, it just takes some turns that the story didn't go where I wanted it to go. And then it took a big turn towards the end that I didn't really like. Or if they needed to take that turn, they should have done something very different with. And then it just decides to end on like a 5-minute flashback that we didn't need. And then it just ends. So basically, it's just this movie that like was really pretty decent and then just fumbled the ball at the end.
I'll be talking about Fuse later. But it's probably going to be a lot more exactly what Brian just said, personally. My number 8 is a movie that we just talked about, and that was Supergirl. I'm not going to go super deep into it because we literally just shot a review for it that you guys can check out on the channel. Loved Millie Alcock. I thought she was great as Kara, but I feel like the movie surrounding her didn't help rise her character up to the potential that people needed to see her as, and that Millie Alcock was doing the best to make use of not a crappy story, but the wrong choice for her first movie, Solo. Whereas she was doing more to help the story than the story was doing to help her. Lobo felt very forced in and unnecessary. The movie felt like it was very much trying to be the sad version of Guardians of the Galaxy, which Brian and I both did not agree with. And that it just lacked the specialty that Superman gave us the year prior. While I still enjoyed it, it still just was not what we were hoping for it to be. Did that not get you disappointed?
No, it did not make my list because I was disappointed by Supergirl. But I actually went in, at least once I saw the trailers, I actually went in with kind of tempered expectations because the trailers did not do it much for either one of us. So while I was disappointed with it, and there were definitely bright spots like Millie Alcock, obviously was great in the role. It just didn't make my most disappointed list. My next one, I think you're going to be talking about in your worst, but I'm just going to talk about it here, is Night Patrol.
Oh yeah.
Night Patrol is a movie I really wanted to like because just with the trailers and then the cast, the RJ Seiler, you got Justin Long, Jermaine Fowler, I think is in there. It looked like it could be such a fun movie and such a fun idea and concept. But the problem is they decided they aren't going for fun. And this movie, where it could have worked with the right tone, just did completely the wrong tone. They took themselves way too seriously. And of course, like every horror movie these days, it can't just be an entertaining horror movie. It has to be an allegory for some social commentary or whatever, which that's not going to win you points with me. And then just individually, like lines of dialogue and scenes are just, some of them are just laughably bad. We always refer to this one scene where there's a couple characters supposed to be running away from something. clearly just running in place. It was just so bad.
And it's not even that they were just clearly running in place. Like, it was laughably bad of them how they were running in place. Like, it was supposed to be a joke, and it did not land.
But it wasn't, because they didn't go for a comedy. Which if they'd gone for a comedy, this movie could have worked. Now there were, again, like all these movies, there's bright spots. R.J. Cyler did a great job. I liked him in this movie a lot. But overall, this is disappointing. Yeah. Oh, and then I think it ended with a shitty cliffhanger too, if I recall correctly. Like, nobody wants to see more of this.
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm glad I don't remember, but yeah, I'll definitely be talking about it later. My next one is a movie that I got excited for when I saw the trailer for. That is In the Gray, with our boys Jake Gyllenhaal and Henry Cavill and your girl Isa Gonzalez. There's no reason why this movie shouldn't have been fun and awesome, and I think it was more the execution of the plot to me that did not work. I feel like the movie was like 95% setup and 5% action. There was a lot of we're trying to get ready for the specific job, the specific route, so we're going to come up with like 8 different plans in case this one doesn't work, and go to this one and this one and this one, and we're going to show you how each plan goes, which, okay, cool. But then when it came time to actually do the thing, none of the plans were needed for what they were doing. And it's like the movie realized, oh, fuck, we had all this build up for all this shit and then we didn't do it. Let's retcon and then force that to happen. And not only are we going to do this, but we're going to make sure we hit every single one of those plans so we didn't just waste everyone's fucking time. But it also just, once again, just felt like they were having to go back going, so you guys did all this and then you're not going to use that? Then what was the point of the rest of the movie? You're right. Okay, reshoot it. Let's do that. So that way everyone can get what they want. But it just did not work for me overall.
I find it funny that this is on your most disappointed list now, because, let's go back 2 years maybe. There's no way this would be a disappointed list because it's directed by Guy Ritchie and he wouldn't have had high expectations for it. Now I know he was more excited for it because of the cast, but Guy Ritchie would have kept it out of his anticipated based on that. But
you're 1,000% correct.
I enjoyed this movie. Was it everything I wanted it to be? It wasn't quite where I wanted it to be, but I enjoyed it, so it didn't make my disappointed list. No. The next one that did make my list was yet another horror movie. This one's Passenger. Passenger had like this cool trailer, which is essentially just basically this one scene, very early scene in the movie.
So it's the opening scene of the
movie.
Yeah,
it is the opening scene of the movie. And it was like, tense, and it was mysterious. You're trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. It was creepy, and it was very well done for like a teaser trailer. I don't know if they ever released a second trailer that was a regular trailer or not. I don't think they did. But
they did, but it was the same thing, but it had snippets of the rest of the movie in it.
Mm.
They tried to make it look like it was all connected into one long scene. It was like that's not, but okay. But yeah.
Yeah. Because most of the movie is not even about the characters that are in that first trailer. Because
they fucking die in the first 5 minutes.
So, but because of the trailer, but also because because I hadn't heard about the movie, I saw this trailer. I'm like, this actually looks like it could be good. So when I looked into the movie and found out it was directed by Andre Overdahl, who I really enjoyed his last movie, Last Voyage of the Demeter, which I know a lot of people didn't love as much as me. I really, really liked that movie, especially loved the way it looked and kind of the tone he brought to it. I don't think people hated it. I think I just didn't enjoy it as much as I did. But I really liked that. And so that made me even more excited to see what he was going to do with this next horror movie. And it just wasn't good. It was 90% jump scares. It was characters I didn't care about. I didn't find the plot or even the what the evil or whatever turns out to be. That was not interesting to me at all. And so I was just like, this was just a waste of his talent. So.
Yeah, I, like you, was super intrigued by that trailer. And if we're given a reward for best trailer of 2026, Passengers is definitely a nominee because it did its job to sell the movie. I think I said this in my review, is that this movie I've seen this movie before. Sam and Dean Winchester defeated the same kind of ghost 2 different times in Supernatural in under 40 minutes. And it's like, and it's funny because like even how they end the movie, like how they defeat this ghost or curse or whatever is literally how Sam and Dean defeat one of them in the show on Supernatural. Is literally like I'm watching them go, this is 100% Supernatural. They're doing the exact same fucking thing, and it was like I can just watch that and enjoy it more because Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki are more entertaining than these two leads. But yes, like you said, it was very much a jump scare of the movie, but then at the same time, the movie also was breaking its own rules. Or, sorry, I don't want to say it was breaking its own rules. It wasn't setting up its rules for what the ghost or curse or whatever was doing. Because you're like, oh, it can only do this. But then as the movie got further along, all of a sudden it could do all these other things. And it's like, okay, none of that shit was set up. So now it just feels like you're having to give this thing more power for the plot to get further down the road, which has always been one of my biggest pet peeves is don't give whatever the creature, killer, slasher, whatever, don't all of a sudden give them superpowers or extra powers so that way it becomes harder for the main characters to survive. And B, don't make a character who's smart throughout the whole movie all of a sudden become dumb because they have no good, clever way to get that, get them from point A to point B. And that's, like I said, that's why I rate horror harshly, because it's just cheap outs that those movies do. But yeah, Passengers was just 2 supernatural episodes that took way longer to complete. It's not awful. It's just like, yeah. I've seen this before. My next one, I want to say you saw. I know you weren't excited for it. I was excited for it because of the cast and the director, and I was excited about the potential of what this movie was, and it just nowhere near got close, and that's The Bride. I remember at beginning of the year when we were talking about most anticipated, I'm like, Maggie Gyllenhaal is a very competent director. She's got her brother, Jake, in it. You got I'm not super crazy about God dang it, what's her name?
Jesse
Buckley. She's good. I just haven't really watched her in anything that made me go, wow, okay, now I see it. But then it's also got Christian Bale as Frankenstein. I'm sorry. I kind of am on board for this. And the trailers were winning me over because it kind of looked like a Frankenstein, Bonnie and Clyde. And I'm like, hell yeah. Like, I'm totally for this. Didn't work for me. And what's funny is the one part of the movie that worked for me is the one part. Oh, no, you did see this. Because the one part of the movie that did work for me is the one part of the movie that Brian hated, which was Jessie Buckley's, was it the Mary Shelley accent she was doing? Where
she's breaking the weird accent and like have Tourette's and shit. And
yeah, it was that like 1930s starlet accent that worked for me. If she was like that the whole time, and it's also because once again, the pro wrestler and pro wrestling fan, there's a wrestler, female wrestler who talks just like that. And she is one of the most entertaining acts in pro wrestling today. And so when I was watching Jessie Buckley do that, I immediately was thinking of Toni Storm. And I'm like, hey, it works for Toni. It's going to totally work for Jessie. But then it was this intertwining out and like her being haunted by Mary Shelley's ghost, which makes no fucking sense whatsoever in the film. Jake Gyllenhaal is in like 2 scenes in the movie. And so like, why even put him in this film? It wasn't until the put him on the Ritz dance number where I was like, fuck this film. I'm so fucking over this movie. Nothing worked in this movie for me. And like, I gave it a 2.5. It probably deserved a 1.5, but I at least appreciated the cinematography and how the movie was shot. And even though I didn't agree with how the performances were, it's not like Jessie Buckley and Bale were bad in the movie. It was more the direction and the way they chose to do the film that did not work for me overall. But yeah, I know you weren't a fan of it either. But I was more anticipating than you were of this.
Yeah, no, this just barely missed making my bottom 10 so far for the year. But because I didn't have high expectations, was not disappointed. Yeah. My next disappointing one is actually one I enjoyed to some level, but I was disappointed, and that is The Bluff. We don't get a lot of pirate films, So, and I like pirate films. I think they're very fun, and I wish we got more of them. But especially because Pirates of the Caribbean, I call it the Jurassic Park effect. After Jurassic Park, nobody wants to make dinosaur movies because they're going to inevitably be compared to Jurassic Park. And like now, nobody else wants to make pirate movies, at least not like live action ones, because they'll be compared, to that, those big blockbusters.
Mhm.
So I respected Amazon for at least trying to make a pirate film. Plus, you put in Carl Urban, who's a perfect choice to be like this pirate captain. He's obviously very charismatic. He has the right attitude. He kind of oozes that right charisma to him. He can be fierce. Bianca Chopra, I could take or leave her. I had no problem with her in this film, but it's just the film. I was so excited to see it, and it disappointed me because it just didn't quite reach its potential. So this is one of those ones I still liked, but I was disappointed by it because there's a whole lot of exposition and showing or telling instead of showing. There's characters who they spend too much time on that we don't care about, other things we're interested in that they just kind of gloss over, and the action also felt very we're on a streaming budget. It's like it seems like there was better action scenes and story there that they had to tell, but they just couldn't kind of go full out. So while I still enjoyed the movie, I was disappointed. It wasn't what I hoped it'd be.
Yeah, I remember the movie being fine when I watched it, but the biggest problem is that it's very largely forgettable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I watched it, and then an hour later, I was already forgetting about it. And that was the main problem. Is I, like you, was also excited for this because Carl Urban as a pirate, fuck yeah. I was locked in for that. But then even as I was watching the movie, I was just like, yeah, this is just going to be one of those streaming films that we're going to forget about, very, very soon. And like right now, like I'm literally trying to think of scenes of the movie, and I've got like brief, like pictures in my head, but I could not tell you how the movie went because it just was largely forgettable for me. I'd put it on my disappointing. It's definitely probably like my next 5 out. And I even thought about putting it on there, but I'm like, I can't remember if I was more excited for the movie or just excited for Carl Urban as a pirate. And that's why I left it off my list. But yeah, it was just largely forgettable for me. My next one is a movie that Brian said that he wanted to watch before we shot this, but didn't have enough time. Goat. I was actually really excited for this because it's done by Sony Animation, who's done the Spider-Verse movies, Mitchell's versus the Machines, which is a criminally underrated, fantastic animated film. And so when they decided they were going to do Goat, which is basically a basketball animated film with animals playing basketball in like extreme ways, I was locked in. Hell yeah, let's go ahead and do this. Animation style is still fantastic. Sony did not miss the mark on that. It still looks amazing. There are certain set pieces on certain courts that are just like awe-inspiring how amazing these shots look. Caleb McLaughlin from Stranger Things is the lead in this. I think he does solid voice work. I think voice work for everyone is solid. The thing that I think made me disappointed is I was writing a lot of Spider-Verse and Mitchell's versus the Machines on top of this to get, I was like, oh, they've done this, so this is Goat. They'll make sure to do that as well. And I feel like the story itself was just paint by numbers that I've seen in like at least 5 to 10 other basketball films. And it's not a bad story plot. It isn't. It's a decent story plot, but I just expected more from this. And I just didn't get it. So it was like, while I was enjoying myself and I did like the movie for what it was, it could have been so much more. And it could have been so much better. And that was just kind of the thing, is like it became I'm excited for this because of the potential of what Sony Animation has done with how this movie looks. But at the end, it's like, this is going to feel like every other animated film that I've seen in previous years that might get nominated at the end of the year for us, but it has no chance of fucking winning. So
yeah. My next one is Jonah Hill's directorial effort, Outcome. This is one I think I want to see mostly just because of the cast. We got starring Keanu Reeves. You got Cameron Diaz, who's starting to do a few more movies again, but she still has not been seen much for a long time now. Reuniting with Keanu Reeves from, what's it called? Feeling Minnesota. But and then you got Jonah Hill, of course, in there. Matt Bomer, who I actually like, he's in there. And it's a good cast. Jonah Hill directing. I haven't loved anything the previous films, like mid '80s or whatever, but it at least shows he has abilities as a director. But I saw the cast, and that alone made me want to see this movie. And I watched it, and it was very, I just didn't find it very funny. I didn't find it very interesting. I forgot about it the minute it ended. I couldn't even tell you probably what happened in more than one or two scenes in this movie at this point, because it was just so forgettable. I don't plan to ever watch it again.
I enjoyed this more than you, but I do admit that the movie was very much it followed a pattern, which was Keanu would meet up with Jonah, then he would meet up with Cameron Diaz and Matt Bomer, who were his friends. Then he would go talk to said person, then rinse and repeat. And they would rinse and repeat that same sequence like 3-4 times. What won me over on this was the performances. Jonah Hill was annoying as fuck for the first half, but then he finally chilled the fuck out, and he actually had a really good character arc through it. I thought Cameron Diaz was great in it. I thought Bomer was good in the role that he had for it, and Keanu was great in it. I think the scenes he has where he's apologizing to people, I thought were very well done. I think the problem that you and I both had about this was that he's constantly being talked about as being like this horrible, mean asshole, but they don't ever show it. So it's like, I think there's one part where you see Keanu kind of like loses cool, but it's also because he's also being like poked by everybody at that point. So it's like, well, you kind of pushed him into that. And everyone's like, no, you're going back to the way you used to be. I'm like, could you show that, please? Because it's Keanu. Everyone loves Keanu.
That just is like he's supposed to have been this asshole, or whatever. But then the other problem I have with it is that we're supposed to, be rooting for him and wanting him to, his apology tour or whatever to work. But the only reason he's on this apology tour and going to these people and apologizing is nothing to do with him like feeling bad about what he's done, and everything to do with the fact he's going to be blackmailed with stuff. So it's like, come on.
And then once you find out what the actual blackmail video is,
it's nothing.
It makes the whole rest of the film a waste because none of those people were blackmailing him, and B, what he was being blackmailed for was like, everyone's like, oh, what did you say? What did you do? What did you say? He was jerking it to a cam girl. I'm sorry, spoiler alert. He was talking to a cam girl and he jerked it. That's it. There's nothing wrong with that. Millions of people, men and women, do that. But, yes, he's a star. I get it. But at the same time, it's like, if that's what the whole thing was, then what was the whole rest of the movie we just spent watching?
Yeah.
I still enjoyed it. I still liked it for what it was. But, like, at the end, we were like, well, that just didn't close the way it should have closed. I did like the storyline with him and Martin Scorsese, who's now just really wanting to be more of an actor now. Have you noticed that? Like, he just keeps popping up and shit. It was like, good for him. It's not like he sucks. It's like, all right, but I did like that story element with him and Keanu.
I'm not usually a fan of Martin Scorsese. Like, I'm not anti Martin Scorsese. He just doesn't tend to make the kind of things that I enjoy. But I will say I enjoyed him. I thought he was good in this role. Yes. Yeah.
My next one, I'm sure you'll have plenty to talk about because you just got done seeing it right before we started shooting, and that is Jackass Best and Last. It's not the best, and hopefully it is the last. Brian and I love Jackass. We've had shows where we spent time talking about all the Jackass movies. Yes. And so it's not like we're not fans of the shows and the movies. And this was one that just kind of showed up out of nowhere. We're like, really? I thought Jackass Forever was the last one. And I think you even mentioned it before we saw it. We're like, oh, man, I hope it's not them just recycling a bunch of old footage.
Which I knew was going to be, some of it was going to be like retrospective.
Well, because the trailer made it seem that way,
right,
too.
But I was just like, I wondered what that balance was going to be.
Yeah, and shockingly, the balance, and tell me if you disagree, is about 60%, 65% of re-shots of the stuff in the movies and the shows, about 35, like about 30% of old footage that they never could use on the show because it was too violent or something like that. And then 25% of actual new shit. And the new shit was really not that entertaining. The new cast sucks. None of them are charismatic or fun. Poopy, I can't stand anytime he's on screen. I cannot
At least
stand
he's
Poopy.
doing stuff. Unlike the girl who just stands around and watches.
Oh yeah, Rachel, I think Wolfson, she does something in the opening number, and even by Jackass standards, it's very.
Gets her tongue shocked. That's all.
Yeah, it's very basic.
In the opening, like you know how they always do that opening like number, and then nothing. The entire rest of the movie, all she did is watching.
Which I actually really liked the opening number. I thought that was really fun, like with the whole like moving floor thing. But like she's just around to show that girls will hang out with these idiots. It's like, oh, see, attractive girls like to hang out with us. Okay, cool. Then don't make her act like she's a part of the cast, and then don't ever do anything.
Also,
I get it.
I think she's only attractive because she's standing around the Jackass guys.
That's that too. But it's also one of those things where it's like, I feel like they're also kind of like fucked at the same time because it's like, what are they allowed to do that won't get them canceled doing it to her? Because 90% of the stuff that they do, it's like, well, if you do that to a girl, you're
even if they had her on camera saying, I consent to this, I'm all for it, I want to do this thing, people would still be like, oh, they pressured her into it. It's inappropriate.
Yeah. So it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. But at the same time, then don't have her be around then, because she just stands there like a sore thumb. Like, are you gonna do anything? No, you're not. Okay, then go fucking behind the camera then. I think of the new cast, the only one I actually enjoyed was Jasper, but even he barely does anything in this movie. Mm-hmm. Honestly, the biggest people who do the most stuff in the new footage is Steve-O, which it's all ass stuff, because that's Steve-O's.
Well, that's just it. That was a problem. We saw it headed that way in Jackass Forever, and then even more so in this one with what little new stuff they had. Was it's like, obviously they can't do the things they used to do, so now it's just lots of shit.
But then Johnny goes and almost fucking kills himself. Because I'm sorry, that bull scene is, whoo! It was like, guys, this is why you shouldn't be doing this shit anymore. Like, Pontius doesn't do anything. Pontius is just there.
The bull was from the last movie, though, wasn't it?
No, he did a new one in this, and that's how he gets super fucked up. That was a new one.
I thought that was from the last one. Okay.
No, in the last one, that's when he did the camouflage painting thing. That was in Forever. This one where he gets legit fucked, that was for this movie. So that was actual new footage. But like everything else, it's like, yes, the archive footage that we never got to see, like where they kidnapped Brad Pitt, which I thought was actually fucking hilarious. That one was great. But like the very first shot where they showed this is how Johnny Knoxville started was like him shooting himself. I think would have been better if I didn't hear the jackasses behind the camera, like talking shit the whole time while Johnny's trying to do this thing. Like that was taking me out of it. Was I can't remember who it was, but someone was just talking mad shit the entire time Johnny's trying to shoot himself with a gun. But like that footage was interesting, but it also wasn't like enough to fill out a movie. And then there are times to laugh in the movie, but it's all laughing at shit we'd seen already. Like I still laughed at the Sounds of the Lambs video, even though they added the bam part, which I thought was hilarious. And then same thing with like the air horn golf from the very first film. I love that scene. But the movie itself is just a clip show of greatest hits. And while yes, it's a nostalgia thing because we've been watching these guys for 28 years. So it's awesome, seeing them. This honestly should have just been a special on MTV or Paramount Plus, since I think that's where they put all their Jackass stuff now. And it just was a kind of a cash grab for theaters. And it was a huge disappointment in terms of what it could have been. I don't even know what they could have done to win me over. I think it would have been, had it not just been, hey, let's show you the entire car toy up the butt Ryan Dunn scene, which ended the first film. Hey, let's show you the entire Sounds of the Lambs scene. Hey, let's show you the entire scene from this film. It's like, we already watched these. We don't need to rewatch these again in a new movie. That's movie 101 for non-clip movies. Don't re-show whole set pieces and expect that to be the movie.
Well, that's what I said in my review I wrote up is like, if you're going to do like a retrospective, like, oh, this is the end, so we want to look back on some of our best bits, and we'll shuffle a few new things in there. It should have been a Paramount Plus special. It did not need to be a theatrical movie where you're just recycling half the footage. But for me, I actually was going to put this on my number one, disappointed. But I think mostly because it was just freshest in my mind. So I think it's just like 3 hours ago. But I think at the same time, though, I think we kind of knew going in, and I actually knew a little bit more going in because you had seen it and told me kind of about what that mix was, which, by the way, your math was, you had like 120%.
I had it written down well, but I don't have it in front of me. So nah.
I know, that's why I didn't interrupt you. But I kind of knew where it was going. But then it was like the new stuff, like I said, was just kind of, none of it really did a whole lot for me. The old stuff, I'm like, okay, I've seen these before. Plus, a lot of people probably wouldn't rewatch some of the stuff before they saw this new movies. They had just rewatched it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, it just seemed like it was pointless. It seems like they should have just either not done it if they weren't going to put in more new stuff or be able to do some better things, or just done this retrospective, like I said, and put it on Paramount Plus, because as it is, I'm fine with being done now. I've like you, we've loved the Jackass. I've laughed my ass off with these things. I just think that this was by far the weakest entry.
If you were going to use mostly old clips and it didn't do the TV show, because there's a good chance that a lot of people hadn't seen the TV stuff, but don't do the movies. Everyone's seen the movies.
Well, and also the clips they put in there is not even the best stuff. Like a lot of them they put on there, I'm like, that wasn't one of their better ones. And then there are a lot of ones I can think of like, oh, that should have been in there. So,
and especially don't use the best sequence from the last film, which was The Silence of the Lambs. Like, dude, that was the last movie. We all saw that. Like, come on, man. Back to you now.
Oh, it is back to me.
Or, well, no, you said that was going to be your one, so I guess it is back to me.
Oh, yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah. My next one, once again, probably not going to be on Brian's list at all because he had no expectations going into it. He loves saying that. And that's Mandalorian and Grogu.
Cool.
What'd you say?
I remember you mocked me for saying that. Okay, great.
Well, no, it's just that every time I get real, like why do we didn't have any expectations for it? And I was like, man, be disappointed with me. But yeah, Mandalorian and Grogu. I love the Mandalorian. Unlike Brian, I don't hate Grogu. I don't want Grogu to get murdered like Brian does. Brian feels about Grogu how I feel about the minions, which is like I want them all to die. He wants Grogu to die so bad. It felt like 2 or 3 episodes all put together, which I love the Mandalorian, so it's not like that was bad, but it's just like, why did we release this in theaters at the same time? You didn't do anything new. You didn't do anything to warrant this being in the theater. Now, have you done something like Mando dies or Grogu speaks or something where it's like, no, you have to see this in theaters because this happens, then that at least warrants the movie to be released in theaters. But this movie doesn't do that. And I think Brian even said this when we were talking about it in our review, is that the movie starts with Mando and Grogu in this one spot. And the movie ends with Mando and Grogu still at that same spot. There's no progression with these characters throughout the film. It's not visually unappealing. I mean, the opening sequence is probably one of the best sequences that Mando's ever done. And it's entertaining as hell, the opening sequence. But it's just after that sequence, it falls into its show tropes, which is not bad, but it's also not movie theater worthy. This is definitely one that probably should have just been dropped on Disney Plus. And if it is the last we see of Mandalorian and Grogu, it definitely wasn't a good send-off compared to where season 3 finale ended. So it makes me wonder if we are going to get more of them. Is it going to be a season 4? Or are you guys going to try to do another movie, which I hope you don't, because clearly having them just have their movie is not going to work unless you're going to bring them in to another story and then Mando and Grogu.
My understanding is that the plan is to now kind of have the Mandoverse kind of, where you're going to see Ahsoka and Mando and these things kind of all converge. So I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. Anything you want to add?
No, I mean, just go watch the review if you want. I have my thoughts are already on our channel. for that one.
All right.
The same. My next one's going to be kind of the same thing. We have a whole long video where we both talk about this movie, but I'll talk about it briefly here. My next disappointment is Scream 7. This is one that I had to decide whether or not to put on my disappointed, because we both had already kind of checked our expectations. Once they booted the Carpenter sisters, the two good directors left, well, a pair of directors and then a single director that we liked all left. But then they brought in Kevin Williamson. I'm like, okay, bring back one of the guys who created it from the beginning. He knows how to write a Scream movie. Obviously, he's good with dialogue. He'll be able to bring it back to where it needs to be. Of course, you're also then relying back on Sydney again, and they essentially just decided to reject everything the last movie had done, because like the two people they brought back from the core four, they're like, they're just going to be kind of side characters now. It's like he didn't even want them in the movie. He just kind of felt that he had to include them.
Then make sure that they don't mention the Carpenter sisters either.
Yeah. So they wasted them. I will say I loved the opening prologue with Jimmy Tatro, and I don't remember who the girl was.
Yes, that was great.
Yeah, I loved that opening prologue. But then from there on, the movie was kind of like I wasn't really digging a lot of it. There were parts of it here and there I enjoyed. The whole fucking AI thing and the whole if you're gonna bring back Matthew Lillard, bring back Matthew Lillard. Don't bring him back in this stupid way where he's not really there, but we want to be able to show you for fan service, and it's like, fuck you. So that bothered me. And then the biggest problem with this movie is that it has the worst killer reveal and the worst killer motives of any of these films by far. That whole ending was just eye-rollingly bad. So this is definitely disappointing.
Yeah, on top of, like I said, this is my number one. On top of everything that Brian just said, and it was a problem with Scream 5 as well, is that once you realize who the two killers are and they make a point of saying which killer did what, it takes the realism out of it, because like I said, the killer, we're removed enough now that we can spoil. The next door neighbor, I'm blanking on the actress's name.
Anna Camp.
Say that again.
Anna Camp?
Yeah, Anna Camp says that she kills her son, but her son got killed like fucking Michael Myers style, where she supposedly picked him up by his fucking head, his full body weight, and put him on a fucking beer tag. And it's like, I'm sorry, there's no way you could pick him up like that. And saying, I do Pilates, fuck you. Not a chance in hell. It's the same thing with, what's her name in 5, stabbing Dewey and then being able to lift his full body weight and rip up. No, she could never fucking do that. So you take that element of once you figure out which killers did what, and you go, no, fuck that. There's no way. And you start to make Ghostface not regular people. You start to give them Michael Myers and Freddy and Jason type powers, which that eliminates the whole concept of what Scream is, which is real people just doing fucked up shit. The new cast didn't really do much at all, especially Tatum, which I like the actress. Tatum didn't work for me. I will say Neve Campbell was probably one of the best parts of the film. Also, like you were saying, the lack of use of the two members of Core 4. How about just completely not utilizing Courtney Cox? Just going, yeah, we just left her ass at the news station because we didn't really want her in this movie. Then why the fuck bring her in the first place? Joel McHale, not utilizing him as well, but also keeping his ass alive after what happened to him in the movie was ridiculous.
Multiple times, I think, yeah.
He got stabbed like 20 times.
Yeah.
And it was like hours later and he was still alive. I'm sorry, he would have died of blood loss. It just got to that point where it's like, if you're not going to bring back the Carpenter sisters and a competent director, because Kevin Williamson, yes, he's good at writing it. He's not good at directing it. If you're not going to bring back the Carpenter sisters, don't bring Scream back anymore, because we have moved on from Sydney and Gale and all of them, and the whole AI thing. Yes, was bad. I agree. If you're going to bring back Matthew Lillard, bring back fucking Matthew Lillard. Especially the whole last act where they started AIing everyone else. But then you could tell it was like they just came into the studio and shot in regular clothes, because it's like Scott. Oh God, Killer from
Foley?
3. Scott Foley did not look like Scott Foley from Scream 3. He looked like Scott Foley of today. And then like Laura Metcalf did not look
which
like
is
Laurie
fine
Metcalf.
in the case of like Matthew Little, where you're trying to make people think that
He's alive.
he was still alive. But this guy, but Scott Foley, he's dead and he's still aged.
It was the equivalent of like if you were in line at Universal Studios and they shot these things for when you're in the line waiting, and it's like, oh, there's blah blah blah. And they're talking about the ride. That's what that scene felt like, and it's so fucking awful. But yeah, this to me was like a nail in the coffin for Scream. If you're not going to, and you watch Scream 8 will come out, and we're fucking gonna be here again talking about it again because it's Brian and I, and we're gonna fucking do that. But we're saying same thing with like Jurassic World. If you're not gonna bring back the Carpenter sisters, I don't see a need to go continue with this other than it made a fuckload of money. I don't see a story. I don't really care to see the story of Tatum continue. And Sydney and Gail, their story is long done. So yeah, if you're not bringing back Jenna and Melissa or Michelle, Melissa, yeah, then don't bother. Just stop. I only got one left. You only got one left?
I have one left. My last one is How to Make a Killing. This is another movie that is primarily the cast that appealed to me. It was Glenn Powell, Margaret Qualley, Jessica Henwick. In some smaller roles, you have Topher Grace and Ed Harris. Based on that cast, I was like, I'm really gonna enjoy this. And plus, I know it's him playing this guy who's kind of trying to deceive and even knock off, these other people and his relatives so he can get this inheritance. It's a funny concept, and he gets to play kind of that, debonair kind of business guy who's trying to weasel his way in. The problem is that this is another movie where they couldn't pick a tone. It didn't know if it wanted to be a drama, it didn't know if it wanted to be a comedy, so it kind of tried to have it both ways, and none of it really meshed. And then as a result, you also have characters don't kind of match up. You have Margaret Qualley kind of playing this kind of over the top. She's playing almost the more comedic part of it, and other people playing it more serious. Then you have Jessica Henwick, who I think was largely wasted. I would like to see her have a lot more to do. And so this just ended up disappointing me. It wasn't what it could have been.
I agree 100% with everything you said. This movie just lacked fun, and there's too many fun actors in this movie to not be fun. And yes, please God, give Jessica Henwick something awesome to latch onto, because she's just over every time just underutilized. She's so awesome, and I want her to be great, but they won't let her be great. But yeah, this movie just lacked fun. My final disappointing is something that we just talked about here in the past month, and that was Disclosure Day. Did I have high expectations going into this? No. But who directed it? Spielberg. So you can't not just have some kind of hope that the movie's going to be good because it's Steven Spielberg. And the movie is fine, but it's also just I did not care about Josh O'Connor. I did not care about the cast. I did not care about the plot. I think I cared about Emily Blunt because it was Emily Blunt. And I love Emily Blunt, but I didn't care about her character. And then it's all a build up for the final scene of the movie. And even the final scene of the movie is that's interesting, but I am more interested in the after effects of what just happened. And that's literally when the movie ends. It just was I don't want to say paint by numbers alien movie, because even then, it's all like I said, it bothered me in the beginning of the film where it felt like we were halfway through a season of a show and we were just being dropped in, and then I just didn't know or care about any of the characters, and then by the time I did start to care, the movie ended. So yeah, that's
funny thing. This is probably going to be my number one.
Did you forget about it?
I apparently, because I was using because I have my list of all the films I've seen this year, 2026 films, and I'm looking at that to figure out, what was I disappointed in, what was I surprised by, but apparently I forgot to ever add Disclosure to that list.
I was like, because when I said it, your face was, I'm like, he doesn't agree with me?
Well, no, I was thinking, wait, why didn't I have that on there? And I'm like, wait, I don't remember seeing it. So I looked at my list. I'm like, oh, fuck, I forgot to put it on the list.
Was it because you had a different poster? Because you always change your posters out?
No. I'm saying I never added the movie to my films of 2026 list.
Oh, gotcha.
And so when I was using that list to see, what I would put on these lists, I didn't have it there to look at, so I didn't think about it. So yeah, bump Bone Temple off the bottom. Disclosure Day. Agree with everything you said. Steven Spielberg. Especially getting back to, aliens and in theory more entertaining, as opposed to just doing like these, dramas like, the Post and Bridge of Spies, all that stuff. This should have been an easy win. Even I didn't think it was gonna be like his best movie ever, or even like my favorite movie of the year, but I thought I would like it a lot more than I did.
Yeah. So those are our most disappointing. Next, we'll move on to our very limited, surprising films of the year. I'm not probably going to spend too much time on mine because, like I said, I like them. I like all of them. I just don't really have much to say about my 5. And you have like 3 legit, and then you said you found 2 more to add to it.
I pulled together a 5, but really, again, like you, I'm not going to say a whole lot about him because I was going to tell you what surprised me about him. So.
All right, I'll just blitz through my 5, and then you can blitz through your 5.
Okay.
How about that? My number 5, and like I said, these really aren't ranked. Whereas like my disappointed definitely was ranked. My surprising, they're not ranked. My first one is Over Your Dead Body. I did not watch the. What country did
it's called The Trip? It's is it German or something? It stars Noomi Rapace and the guy who was the villain in Sisu.
Not Stephen Lang.
No. That was 2. The first one, yeah.
Okay,
you know what it is? It's directed by the guy who did Hans and Gretel Witch Hunters. It's directed by what if I can remember his fucking name, Tommy Verkala, who I think is like Scandinavian, like Swedish or something. I'll look it up.
Gotcha.
Go ahead, keep going.
But yeah, I never saw that film, so I know Brian. You said you watched that, and then you watched Over Your Dead Body, and you're like, oh, it's the same damn movie. I didn't know about the other movie, so I was more just intrigued by Jason Segel, who I love, and of course Samara Weaving, who we both love. And also Timothy Oliphant. And like, yeah, the normal setup is that you have this very couple who's basically at the end of their rope, and they both decide that they're going to go to a cabin to spend time with each other, but each one is set not to kill the other, which to me just sounds like a hilarious setup. And it is. And I think what surprised me was that outside of the initial setup, I wasn't expecting how much more it just kept adding on and on and on. And a lot of that was because of Timothy Oliphant and Juliette Lewis and I can't remember the third person.
Is the MMA guy?
Keith Jardine. Yes. Who also is great, by the way. I just was like, okay, here's what I'm expecting, and then they showed up, and then it just kept going and going and going. And I wasn't expecting the brutality and the gore and all this to the point where, like, by the time it ended, I was like, dude, that was a movie I 100% was not expecting that to be. And I enjoyed it quite a bit. And I was just completely surprised at what this was. But you said that the way this movie was exactly the way the other one was?
There are minor changes, but it's largely just the same film, which is, most remakes are going to do that. But they didn't make any major changes. They changed a couple small things here and there, but all the main beats are all the same. Yeah.
Gotcha. Like even the dad part at the end, I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. There's just some people like, oh my god, this movie's still going. Like, not in a bad way. It was just like, oh man, like just when I think like we hit our plateau, it's like, nope, here we go again, and here we go again. So yeah, that was my number 5. My next one is another one that was kind of like one of those VOD, like straight to DVD kind of movies. Couples Weekend with Daveed Diggs, Josh Gad,
Alexander Daddario.
Yeah. I'm blanking on the Josh Gad's girl. She's from not Girls Trip, Joyride, but I'm blanking on her name.
It's Ashley Park.
Ashley Parker.
Just Park.
I wasn't sure what I was going to get out of this, but it actually became more of like much like a movie that you and I both really liked, which came out this weekend with The Invite, it really kind of became this kind of character study of these four characters who are, for the most part, really close friends, and who you find out that they're cheating on each other with each other. And the two that aren't cheating are kind of having to deal with it instead of like, one of them wants to like blow it up right now. The other one's like, no, I don't think I'll find someone better. I want to, keep this working. And then it just all exploding. And of course, bad weather comes, so they can't just fucking leave. So then they have to spend the weekend just dealing with this. And you get some really great moments, like acting wise, from all four. They all get their moments to shine in this. They all get this moment where they all just say, let's just, fuck this, and let's just dance and get drunk and just have fun, because come Monday, our worlds are going to be 100% different now. And I just really liked what they did with this, and I enjoyed the journey I was on with these four people throughout the weekend. Did you ever watch that?
Yeah, I thought it was decent.
Yeah. My number 3 is Deep Water, and now I'm not talking about Ben Affleck and Ana de Armas's weird fucking film that came out a few years ago. I am talking about another film that has to do with a plane crash, which is also another movie that came out last year, I think, where a plane crashes and basically sharks are coming after the people in the plane. It's got Aaron Eckhart, planking on other people in the movie outside of Aaron Eckhart.
There wasn't a lot of big names.
Ben Kingsley's in it.
Yeah. Angus Sampson, who I recognize from a couple TV shows. He's also was in Mad Max. But yeah, other than that, there's not really names. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I will say, like, I was going into this like, okay, we'll just see. I'm watching it because it's a shark movie, and it looks like they're at least trying to make this like a legit movie. It's not one of those shitty sci-fi, movies. And I think what kind of got me to go, okay, let me pay attention to this, was the actual plane crash itself. I thought was really well shot and really well done. I think for the most part, the characters are really well done throughout the film. There are two characters in this that really kind of take me out of the movie each time because they're just so poorly written in terms of just being assholes, where it's like, I'm sorry, like with what's going on, you would not still be this horrible human fucking being at this point. And so it just kept taking me out of the movie. One of them at least kind of like changes their tune when shit starts to get, dangerous. But there's this one character that just completely takes me out of the film the whole time. But outside of that, like I said, the plane crash was really well done. I think the shark attacks, especially in the first half of the shark aspect of it, I thought was shot in a newer, uniquer way that felt more real with the shark attacks, instead of it like being like a Jaws or like a Deep Blue Sea kind of thing. Now, towards the latter half of the film, it did start to go more towards like your typical shark attack kind of films. But I really liked what they did with it and how they utilized the film for the most part, with everything that they did outside of like I said, there's one legit main character that's just so badly written that it just kept taking me out of the movie. But everything else, I, for the most part, really dug and enjoyed. My next one is came out. It was the first real big action film of the year. And I think you and I are both expecting it to just not be good, but I actually had a fun time with it, and that's The Wrecking Crew. Dave Bautista, Jason Momoa. This is just fun. I basically described it, and I think, Brian, you agreed with me. It was like, it's Bad Boys Hawaii. And I am 1,000% here for that shit. And to the point where I would love to see these two in a Bad Boys spinoff and just have these two with Martin Lawrence and Will Smith and let them just fucking cause chaos. Better yet, bring in Gabrielle Union and Jessica Alba from LA's Finest and make it a 6-person team. It's fun. It's got great dialogue. Momoa's funny. Batista's funny. The action sequences had a lot bigger of a budget than I expected for an Amazon Prime film. And it just was a fun ride the whole way through. And not enough people watched it or even know what the hell it is. And I feel like it deserves more recognition on it. My last one is another one that probably a lot of people didn't see, and I went in to watch it just to watch it and ended up really enjoying it. And that is the animated film Swapped on Netflix. It's got Michael B. Jordan. I didn't think you did. But yeah, it's got Michael B. Jordan, Juno Temple. It's got a couple oh my God, I'm blanking on his name. gonna have to look it up because it's gonna bug me. Where the hell is it? There it is. Tracy Morgan, Cedric the Entertainer, both of them are in it. And what I liked about the movie itself was that it just, I don't want to say it feels unique, but it does at the same time. But like, I feel like the world that they're in and the animation of the animals, because they were like, yeah, that's a bird and that's like a squirrel or gopher, but they're not actual birds and squirrels. They have a different kind of like biography to them. You know, even the fish, which is Tracy Morgan's character, is different. And like there's it's just everything about it just felt new. And I liked the story that we got. I liked the voice work by Michael B. Jordan and Juno Temple, which are basically a duo the whole time throughout this. I think Tracy Morgan, who is a performer that I am not a huge fan of, I think when he's really, really good, I enjoy him, but a lot of time I just find him annoying and off-putting. I think Tracy is actually really good in this, which was a real big shocker to me. But at the end of the day, as I was watching, I was like, you know what? This is one of those animated films like Sea Beast a few years back on Netflix that most people won't watch, or Nimona, that really deserves to kind of be paid attention to. It's not going to be the best animated film of the year, but it definitely is in the running. But most people probably won't check it out or watch it. And I actually really enjoyed it quite a bit. Those were my most surprising films of the year that were not rated in my top 10 best of the year.
Okay. All right. The 5 I put on my most surprising. First one is Dracula, or Dracula: A Love Tale, as some places listed. This is Luc Besson hadn't really made a film in a couple of years. He hasn't made like a really big popular movie in many, many years. So he started off great with Professional and Fifth Element and a couple others. Then kind of he had his own personal issues too, but we'll get into that. So you have him he's kind of off people's radar. The cast was nothing huge. I mean, you got Caleb Landry Jones, who's a good actor, but he's not really a draw for me. Christoph Waltz, who was playing Van Helsing, or no, he's played Priest, but he's I didn't, he's going to be in a smaller role, I figured. But I went ahead and watched this movie and actually found it's actually a pretty good movie. I mean, there's some iffy CG, there's some stupid ass gargoyles that kind of ruined the last act of the movie. But I liked the approach because this is much more like the Bram Stoker's Dracula. This is another one going back to the original text, so it has that same kind of Gothic style to it. It's not all just straight horror. A lot of it's kind of the Gothic romance angle of it. But it still did enough to differentiate itself from the 92 film that I thought it felt like its own thing. So while again, it's not like, one of my favorite films of the year or anything, I was surprised how much I enjoyed this.
Yeah, I really actually enjoyed this one too, and it made me pay attention to Caleb Landry Jones more now, because there was this, and then there was another movie called Dogman.
Dogman. If you haven't seen Dogman, people watch that movie. Yeah,
and I was just like, holy crap! When did Caleb Landry Jones become a good actor? Because I just always know him for like small bits, like in Get Out and stuff like that. Now it's like, man, I'm gonna have to start paying attention to him.
Well, he's always been a good actor. It's just a matter of him finding like roles because he seems to have big roles in movies that no one sees, and small roles in bigger movies.
Exactly. So, but yeah, I actually did enjoy this one quite a bit. It's in my top 20 for the year. But it's also one of those where it's like, I feel like it's been forever since I've seen it. So like, I'm having a time like remembering everything. But I do remember liking it when it came out.
My next surprise is the drama. This was an A24 film. So right there, strike one. You got the director of Dream Scenario. I wasn't a big fan of Dream Scenario. I liked the idea of it, but I didn't think it worked out at all. Robert Pattinson, I don't really like him. Occasionally, he's been okay in something I've watched. I don't hate the guy, but I'm not impressed by his acting at all in anything he's done. And Zendaya, I like in the Spider-Man films and Greatest Showman and in Dune, she's fine. But then whenever she does like these dramas, I feel like I don't enjoy her as much. Now, that being said, so I went into this, but then I heard actually there's a little more comedy to it, and then I heard it was actually pretty good, so I'm like, I'll check it out. Still didn't love it. I still ended up going to give it 3 stars, but I didn't hate it. I enjoyed a lot of the earlier scenes in it. I enjoyed the characters. I did like that there was a little bit more comedy in it than I originally thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be more of a drama. So again, didn't love the movie, kind of middling, but because it's so much better than what I expected it to be, it made me surprised.
I enjoyed that for what it was, but it also frustrated me and annoyed me to no end. And I think that was the intent. So, like, it intended to annoy you, and it did. But I do think that they were both fantastic in it.
Next one, Solo Mio. Surprised only because it was a watchable, decent Kevin James film.
I refused to watch it because it was a Kevin James film.
It's very much not a typical Kevin James film. There's no fatty fall down humor. It's actually not even that kind of his kind of comedy. It's more of like I guess a rom-com, more of a romance.
Is it more like his version of like Under the Tuscan Sun, or like?
It's probably closer to something like that. Yes, yeah. I mean there's definitely some comedy in it, but not his usual broad style of pratfall comedy kind of thing. So again, this movie it's not one of my favorites, but I enjoyed it. And for a Kevin James movie, that's a big feat because I expect everything he makes to be shit. So it makes my surprise list.
Case in point, Playdate.
My number 2, Sean talked about it earlier, Masters of the Universe. And here's why it surprised me. The movie was not everything I wanted it to be. It definitely had its faults to it. But there was enough in there that I enjoyed, that I really enjoyed seeing this movie. What makes it most surprising for me, besides the fact that I enjoyed it, was that they managed, I thought, to pull off the tone perfectly. The individual scenes, individual lines, things like the HR thing, it has, like I said, it has issues. But especially just trying to make this goofy kids' toy world where people have names like, Ram Man and Fisto and all these things. They managed to make it palatable. They managed to make it make sense. They had things in there that made the juvenile names they have make sense. They made the look of it, I think they pulled off to make it look like it was still. It looks just like the toys or cartoons you remember, but it also works for adults who want to go watch the film. And so I was pleasantly surprised they pulled this off, especially because they've been trying to make a new Masters of the Universe movie for 15 years, and all kinds of different directors and actors have been attached to it, and they all fell through. So I'm glad they finally crossed the finish line, even if it wasn't quite everything I wanted it to be. Sean already talked about it. And my last surprise is a little movie which we're going to be talking about later, so I'll just say it now. Pizza Movie. Just came out of nowhere. Enjoyed the hell out of it. I'll talk about it more later.
Yes, we will definitely be talking about that one later. So that is our most surprising films of the year that aren't in our top 10. Now we will go to worst films of the year so far. Like we said earlier, I think 7 or 8 of these are horror films for me. You said you had how many that were horror for you?
I didn't do a count, but I think it's 7 or 8. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go ahead. You didn't have any honorable mentions, right? You just have your 10.
No. I mean, I have. If I did, it'd be things like The Bride be an honorable mention for me. Balls Up, which I know is on your list, be an honorable mention for me. But yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and jump into this. My number 10 is a movie that I'm sure is going to piss off many people that it is on my worst of list, but I'm sorry, it just didn't work for me, and that is Backrooms.
If we were only doing an overrated section.
Look, I did not watch the game. I don't read creepypasta, so I don't have the luxury of knowing the lore of the Backrooms. I went into it.
You shouldn't have to.
No, you shouldn't have to. Yeah. I agree. But I went into it with medium to high expectations because of 2 reasons. One, Chiwetel Ejiofor, who I love. Mm-hmm. I always feel like he's one actor who he's one big movie away from being huge.
He's the only reason I watched this movie. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other one is Lukita Maxwell. She plays his employee, and she is on a show that I absolutely love and adore called Shrinking, which I've been trying to get Brian to watch for like over a year now because it's got Harrison Ford and Jason Segel. It's to me the next best like feel good show next to Ted Lasso and like Schitt's Creek. But I love her in that show, so when I saw that she was in this, I'm like, yes, she's doing a movie. Awesome, I got to watch it. This movie is boring as hell, man. Like, it's supposed to be like, ooh, it's so creepy and scary because you don't know what's gonna happen, and then it's like, yeah, but it's just walking around a bunch of rooms where certain things are just different, and when you finally do see what you're supposed to be scared of, it's kind of fucking laughable. And it's also one of those things where it's like, outside of you just not knowing how the fuck to get out of the back rooms, I feel like unless you're doing the trope where you stop running, you probably should be able to get away from the thing relatively easily. And then it does the one thing that just annoys me more than anything when it comes to horror films, is that it acts like it's going to explain itself at the very end, and then it fucking doesn't. And it has an ending that's so, I don't even want to say it's open-ended, but it's just so like, and that's the end. And you're like, fuck you, really? That's how you end this thing? And it's just, at the end of the day, it was like, is there one thing about this movie that I actually liked? Maybe I like Chiwetel pretending to be a pirate for a commercial, because I thought that was kind of funny. But outside of that, I can't find one thing about this movie that made me go, you know what, that was actually really good. And I can't. Like, I do think the set design of these back rooms was unique to a point, and nothing looks outrightly awful except for that one big glaring part of the movie, which I can't really divulge. I think that there's a possibility here somewhere that you could make this something really, really cool. I just don't think they did that in this film. And I feel like the longer the movie went on, the worse it got. So that was my number 10. But I'm obviously wrong, because this is like one of the best horror movies of the year kind of thing.
No, it's not. It's not. It's
not.
I considered putting it on my worst list, but it's definitely going to be on the overrated list when we get to that. As it is, though, for my number 10, then, as much as I rank these, is Psycho Killer. Psycho Killer is one of the 3,000 bland random horror movies that got released in the first half of this year. This one, though, was written by Andrew Kevin Walker, who wrote Seven, and he spent the last 30 years being known as, from the writer of Seven. The problem is most of the movies he's made since then have all kind of sucked.
Remember that movie that came out 30 years ago?
Yeah, it's time to accept he was pretty much a one-hit wonder, I think. But yeah, this is a movie I wanted to like because of the writer and Georgina Campbell, who stars in it. She was the same one who's like Barbarian. I like her, but this movie was not good. It felt like it wanted to be kind of a Silence of the Lambs kind of thing, but it didn't really work. The story was boring. It was very slow. Yeah, I don't have anything more to say about that. Go ahead.
I haven't seen it. I've seen the poster for it. My question for you is how many times did they actually play the song Psycho Killer?
It is played, I believe, over the credits, end credits. I can't remember if it's the rest of the movie or not.
Because all I keep thinking about is the song. I'm like, how much would I bet they made that the title just so they could play the song?
It's definitely in the movie at least one time. I'm trying to remember if it was more, but I can't remember it that well. Gotcha. I purged it.
My number 9, I want to say you watched, and that is Ladies First on Netflix.
That is my 7. So yes.
7. Okay. I'm not the biggest Sacha Baron Cohen fan. I think he has elements where he can be funny. But a lot of the times he's just kind of more annoying. But I love Rosamund Pike. I think she's a criminally underrated actress. And in this one, I feel like they had opportunities with the plot to do something, unique. And they just chose the low-hanging fruit every single time. And to the point where every time it happened, you just rolled your eyes like, really, this is what we're going to do with this? Like, I'm not claiming to be a writer, but God, man, I could come up with some better things than this. And then it also chalks it up to at the end of the film where it's like, same thing goes with like Christmas Carol and stuff. It's like, Ebenezer Scrooge, who he gets haunted by these 3 ghosts. Like at the end of the movie, he's supposed to have completely changed his whole life. Did he though? And then it's like, same thing with this one. It's like, did this guy learn his lesson, or did he use the system in his favor to get what he wanted at the end, and then he still ended up getting everything he wanted at the end of the movie? Is he supposed to be someone we're rooting for? Is he someone we're supposed to like? Because
just like in Christmas Carol, and you have in this one, is like to everyone else, he just went home one day and then came back the next morning. This changed person. It's like they're gonna be like,
it wasn't even the same day.
You're like, what the fuck is this? Yeah, I'm sure he's still an asshole. Whatever it is, this is some play for something.
Because like you literally have his assistant writing down shit on how to fucking get his ass fired, and now all of a sudden he's supposed to be like, I'm amazing. Everyone loved me. It's like, no, fuck you. You're still a prick. You're just You're either on drugs or whatever. You're eventually just going to become, the same asshole. But like, there's never a reason to root for this guy throughout this entire film and feel bad for him because he's a fucking dick. And then he gets his way at the end of the movie, but he's supposed to have seen a better light. It's like, fuck you. No, that's not happening at all. Rosamund Pike is good though in this. If there is one, shining glimmer of light in this, it's her performance. But
yeah, and again, the only thing I'll say is my main criticism about this movie is the exact same thing that you were saying, is that it's just all the easy, obvious jokes. It's everything. If you told me the concept of the movie, where like, he's knocked out, he wakes up in this world where women are the ones who are kind of in power. I mean, every joke you just thought of, that's in the movie. That's all it is. It's the obvious stuff. But then also my problem with it is that in this world where women are kind of in power, and men are the inferior or whatever, subservient, instead of making just women in power and men are kind of that, they decide that the women are all going to take on the masculine traits and do masculine things and act masculine, and the men now all do feminine things and they act like that. It's like, no, why can't you just have women as they are be in charge instead of saying, no, well, if they act like men, then they can be in charge, because you're kind of killing your own message there.
Yeah. Like I say, and the jokes just fall flat. They're not funny. It's like, oh, we'll change man to woman in the joke. Get it? No, I get it. It's just not funny.
It's just dumb. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that was your 7. So back to me. You talked about this earlier, and I said I agreed with everything that you said, and that is Fuse. This is a movie that for the first 45 minutes is super intense and really a really good movie. And then the movie decides we're going to do something completely different and just completely derail the film. Even as Brian and I were talking about this movie, I think last night, we were like, if they just went and did this, and you and I both were like saying the same thing at the same time, we're like, yes, if they would have done that, this would have been a great film. It would have been really, really cool. But instead, they were like, no, we got to have a twist. And no, we got to do this. And it's like, then what was the point of XYZ? And what was the point of this character? And why bring Gugu in to just be this woman that's in an office? Like, you figured she's going to have a bigger role, and she doesn't. And Sam Worthington, like, what was the whole point of casting him in this film if you weren't going to do anything with him? And it's just, and then the way it ends is just kind of like the way it ends before the credits is kind of like, fuck you. And then to have jokes in the credits when the movie wasn't funny to begin with just also did not mesh well at all. So it's like half a good movie and half a shit movie. And like I said, I agree with everything that Brian said earlier. But yeah.
Ran you or me? Back to me?
Yeah, it's you now.
My next one is a movie that I thought I would enjoy. It's Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Right there. There's why I watched it. Right there. This is a movie that came out in theaters, I think, in Europe like a year ago, and never hit the US until they quietly dumped it on like a VOD like a month or two ago. And it's called Rich Flu. And what this movie
I have no idea what this is.
Yeah, this is a strange disease pops up, like this epidemic, but it's killing the richest people in the world. Somehow this disease knows how much money you have. It's killing all the richest people, so that and it kills all the billionaires, and then it starts going after the multimillionaires, and then and so then it gets to this point where like all the rich people are trying to like give away their money and stuff because I don't want to die, so we're trying to, and it's just it's a ridiculous premise, but it's like, okay, I'm just gonna go with it. It's kind of this fantasy world where this shit's happening, and like Mary Elizabeth Winstead, it also has Rafe Spall and Timothy Spall are both in it, which I didn't realize they were related until this year. It's like father son, but So I watched it, and it's just a fucking bizarre premise to start with, but then like towards the end of the movie, that it takes this turn where they start trying to have like this, some kind of heartfelt drama and family connection. It's like this. It's just a mess. So there's a reason it never got released in theaters in the U.S. and the reason it got dumped very quietly, even when it hit VOD. That's all.
Do they ever explain how the rich are getting infected?
Oh no.
You're supposed to accept
it's just this mysterious thing, because it's not like somebody's going around poisoning them. It's just like, oh, you're the next richest, so you're gonna get sick and die now.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, they don't explain how like the rich people are getting infected?
No, it's just nature fighting back.
Basically, don't be a good athlete. don't be the best player in the NFL or NBA or Major League Baseball. You're gonna die. Don't be a movie star. You're gonna die.
Yeah.
You could have had a really good premise there if you had made it like make sense there. That would have been like
I don't know how you make it make sense though.
Like a biochemical Robin Hood kind of film.
Yeah, but that's just it though. It's not, nobody's causing it. It's just nature. It's just happening.
That is so fucking weird. I had never heard of this. My next one I watched yesterday. Came out this weekend. And it's called The Get Out. It's got Russell Crowe, Nina Dobrev, Aaron Paul, Teresa Palmer, Luke Evans, all people I like, which is why I checked it out. And basically follows Russell Crowe, who's like this money launderer who owns like this nightclub, and he gets robbed by Aaron Paul, who's being forced. It gets very convoluted. He's being forced to rob him because this cop is like blackmailing him. I could go further and further and further. It just gets convoluted and dumb. But it becomes this whole thing of like, because he got robbed, he's at an age where he had a heart attack while having sex. So he's trying to like sell the club so he can like go retire. But because he got robbed, now he owes money to the people that he launders money to. But, there's just too many things going on, and none of it is good. And Russell Crowe is just kind of there. Aaron Paul is trying to work this script. Nina Dobrev is the only one who seems to be having fun. And then Luke Evans is trying to be fun, but you can see that he's like being forced to doing it. And it's just, it got very like just blah and boring by the end, because it's just like, do I care what happens to any of these people? I don't. And it's like all these people are effectively bad. So there's no one to really root for except for, I guess, Teresa Palmer, who is effectively innocent, but she's also dating a guy who is a criminal, and she knows he's a criminal. So it's just, at the end of the day, like the movie ends and you're like, what was the point? Like, what was the story we were trying to tell here? What was the end goal? And it really wasn't. And, it's one of those where it's like, it clearly is a straight to streaming or a, small theatrical release. But, with these names, I kind of expected it to be stronger or enjoy it to some extent. Because the only thing that was mildly amusing was Nina Dobrev's character is a, like, head over heels fangirl for Point Break. And so she's all about, like, quoting Point Break and, like, wanting to rob people while wearing president's masks and everything. So like, that's entertaining to a point, but it's also like stupid at the same time. Cause it's like, you are not paying attention to what's actually happening around you. You're so like, this is so like Point Break, but no, pay attention to what's actually happening. So it's just, it was kind of a mess of a movie. It was not that good.
Yeah. I'm going to be very short on my next one. My next one is Faces of Death. It's a movie with, Barbie Ferreira, who apparently was on Euphoria, which I've never watched, and Dacre Montgomery, who, he does kind of always appear kind of like, Walmart Zac Efron, but I think he's turned in some good performances on things like Stranger Things and some other things he's done.
I've never thought of that before, but you're so fucking right.
Oh, that's when you first saw him in was it Power Rangers? I think
It was
then
Power
my
Rangers.
first thought was, oh, they couldn't get Zac Efron, so they got this guy instead.
I just never connected the dots, but you're so fucking smart.
But he's actually a decent actor, and I like him.
He is.
My problem is that I really, really did not like Barbie Ferreira. I don't know if it's the actress or the character. Whatever it was, I was rooting for her to die, and so I was disappointed, when she, prevails at the end. Spoiler alert, because Final Girls, that's what happens. But yeah, so this movie I just didn't like, mostly because I hated the main character. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than having to watch a horror movie and you are rooting against the final girl.
Yeah,
because it's like, what's the point at that? Which, speaking of, going to my next film, it's Hokum, with Adam Scott, which once again, an unlikable character that you're supposed to be rooting for. That's your number 3?
Yep.
Okay. It just it wants to be like 1408, but it lacks any fun that 1408 had. It also doesn't have John Cusack or Samuel L. Jackson. Adam Scott, who I do like Adam Scott. It's just he's not likable in the movie. It's not even like he's like a funny prick. He's just like an ass. And the cast around him is not that strong. The story of the hotel is not really like hooking me. And it's basically him just kind of locked in this hotel for a couple nights. And when we do finally get into, the meat of what makes this a horror, I was already checked out and I just didn't care anymore. And then you have this other subplot with I think he's the manager of the hotel. That's a whole separate other thing. And at that point, it's like, you're already stacking too much on top of this, and it didn't need that. And it ultimately was one of those movies that people were praising. And then you watch, you're like, am I the only person that watched this like legitimately? Because this movie's
at least
not.
2 of us. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, but apparently, my co-star, he's right there with me. So yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I will just read you my entire review, which says it's 20 minutes of establishing Adam Scott as an asshole, then an hour and 15 minutes of jump scare the movie. That's all it is.
Also, the creepiest thing in the movie was that fucking bunny character, and he wasn't even in the movie. It was like a trauma thing from Adam Scott in a dream. Yeah. So it'd be one thing if that thing was like the main thing, and it's like it wasn't. It's like in there for like a second.
Yeah.
And it's done. And that's like where most of the marketing is going to this movie, is that one fucking character. Okay, so it went to you. You had Hokum, so it goes back to me. My number 5 is Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Did you ever see this?
Oh, no.
I couldn't remember if you eventually saw it or not. There were 2 reasons why I wanted to check this out. One, I do like Lee Cronin. Like, I do think he's a solid director. He, Evil Dead Rise. I think I didn't love it as much as like the other Evil Deads, but I still think that he did a good job with it. So I want to see how he would do with The Mummy. And then, of course, Jack Rayner is one of those guys that I just root for, and I really want to see him do great. Problem is that Lee Cronin did not make a Mummy movie. He made another Evil Dead movie that is based around torturing a child. So it's more like Evil Dead meets The Exorcist with a little mummy sprinkled into it because, oh, wait, I am making a movie called The Mummy. So I probably should have some mummy things in this. And it really is just a movie that it's like, if you really get off on watching like a girl like disfigure herself and like torment others and just be tortured through the whole film, this is the movie for you. If you're not into that, then you're not going to have a good time. Plus, it does that thing that I always get mildly ignored or annoyed at, where it's like, here's this girl who literally is like disfiguring herself and ripping herself to pieces. And then as soon as the curse is lifted, she's practically perfect again. It's like, no, like you're missing teeth. You're like, you're fucking like ripping the skin off your face. Like you are fucked. Like you're fucked. But it's like, oh no, the curse is lifted and I'm a pretty girl. I'm like, no, fuck you, movie. Jack Rayner is completely wasted in the film. Most of this cast is completely wasted. And it just was not fun at all. And it makes me wonder if now Lee Cronin, who I praised for what he did in Evil Dead Rise, if he's capable of doing anything that's not Evil Dead-like. Because this movie was basically Evil Dead meets Exorcist, sprinkled with some Mummy, and it was a big fuck you for me when I got through with it. Did not enjoy a single second of that movie. So, yeah.
My next movie is a movie I wanted to like, and Sean, I believe, just watched this one. That's Hungry.
My number 11. It's my just outside at the top 10.
This is a movie that it could have been a lot of fun. It could have been like the hippo version of like Lake Placid, for example, if they just embraced the cheese. But again, this is a movie they decided to play it completely straight when it doesn't really work. I mean, even the marketing of it. I mean, it's a movie about killer hippo that's called Hungry, and the poster says this hippo isn't playing games or something like that. So clearly they're referencing hungry hippos. So you're like, oh, they're embracing the cheese. It's going to have a wink and a nod. It's going to have a sense of humor. No, they're going to play it completely fucking straight. And all the hippo action you saw in the trailers, you pretty much saw it all, because other than that, it's just a lot of arguing and melodrama, and it was just it disappointed me big time. And this is a bad movie.
And there was not a single hungry hippo reference in the movie either.
No,
like it's right fucking there. This one, it's not awful. It's just like, guys, you could have done so much more with this. Like, it's got a passable cast. Yeah. Like, it's got a competent cast that could do the movie, decent. It's just there's stupid character decisions, mainly one character that's just so fucking dumb and written so badly that you just throw your hands up at certain points of the movie. It's like, no one would do that. Like, no one would be that dumb to do that moment. And then when you actually do get the hippo kills, they're all, I don't want to say they're like off screen, but they're so quick and like, oh, they got pulled into the water, they're dead. And it's like, no, at least with Jaws, like, you got to see like thrashing and blood and stuff like that. It's like they were actively trying to make sure you didn't see the deaths. And it's like, I wanted to like this. I wanted to enjoy it, but there was just so many things happening where it's like, is it a budget thing? Is there a reason why you're not showing us? Or is it one of those things where it's like you're trying to make this PG-13 so you get more people to watch it? I don't know, but you kept cutting yourself off at the knees the whole time while this was happening. And it just amounted to nothing by the time it ended. Staying on the killer animal route, my number 4 is Killer Whale.
Oh, that's my number 2. Wait. 2.
2, okay. It basically was trying to be The Shallows, but with a killer whale. Yep. And I love The Shallows. I think it's probably the best shark movie since Jaws. But this also was like, let's also make this The Fall, but with
this is Act 2 I had it compared to.
Yeah, it's The Fall meets the
with
Shallows.
The same actress from The Fall.
Exactly, that too. And it once again, but then it's like every time they had to use the killer whale, it is some of the worst CG. It's laughably bad. Like, there's times where it'll pop up and you're just like, that was awful.
Yeah, it was bad. It was like, am I watching the work print? Is this not the finished version of this?
Yeah, like, you shouldn't be. This is a high intense scene, and you shouldn't be going, that was bad. It's like, and then you get to this one point where, and I think this happens in The Fall, which is where I think it reminded me of The Fall, where like the two people who are literally trying to survive and trying to like stick together, they get into a fight, and all of a sudden they're like, I can't be on this rock with you anymore. And it's like, you guys need to pocket this right now. This is not important. This is not anything that you need to worry about right now. Wait till you get saved and then have this fucking fight.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, one of them dies. Like, no! Like, didn't you just hate her guts, like, not even, like, an hour earlier? Like, no, you don't need to add this to these movies. It's all about survival. You don't need to add this, oh, one fucked over the other and they just found out, so now we got to have them be at odds. Why? It's laughably bad, and I wanted to, like, it was like one of those things where it's like, it's bad, but had they had better CG, and if they had chose some different directions with the plot, this actually could have been good. It has the ability to have been solid and decent. It just chose to do everything wrong.
Yeah, it was. I mean, like you said, it was The Fall meets The Shallows, but done with no budget and a lot less talented people behind the camera, apparently. So I had no problem with the actresses. I think they were fine. But the writing and the direction and the effects and everything about it was just badly made. Yeah, that's that. You said it all. That's it. Yeah.
I've got 3 more.
I have 1, 2. I have 3 more. Yeah.
Okay. My next one, Brian mentioned already. That's Balls Up. God, I hated this movie so much. I agree with Brian. We both watched the trailer. And we're like, are they just doing another Tommy Boy? But it's surrounded by you released this a couple months too early. You should have released it right now during the actual World Cup. So placement of when it got released, wrong placement. But number 2, Paul Walter Hauser. I like him in some things, but in other things, he's just not good. He is not good in this. And Mark Wahlberg, I've grown more into disliking him now than I have liking him because of the choices that he does in these films. These are, once again, much like we were talking about with Hokum and God, what was the other movie you just said where it was an unlikable lead? Oh, Faces of Death.
Oh, Faces of Death, yeah.
There is no reason to like either one of these 2 guys. These are 2 unlikable jackasses who ruin a World Cup championship for Brazil and are basically becoming hunted by the whole country. But there's never a point in this movie that you're like, oh, well, it was just a mistake. No, fuck both these guys. They both suck. Like, there's never a point. Like at first you're like, okay, Paul Walter Hauser is misunderstood. And, he's just trying to, equal up to Mark Wahlberg. But then it's like, no, all this shit happens because Paul Walter Hauser is a drunk dumbass. And Mark Wahlberg is just kind of stuck. Well, no, Mark Wahlberg's also very unlikable as well. And then they just keep escalating it and escalating and escalating. Then you bring in Sacha Baron Cohen, who's, I forgot who I said he was trying to be at the time. I was like, he's basically trying to do a version of, I can't remember. It was somebody.
It was some dumb accent, though. I don't remember what it was.
He's doing a dumb accent. And I was like, he's basically trying to be this person, and I can't remember what it is anymore. But that's like a 20+ minute part of the film there's literally a scene that takes over 5 minutes where they're trying to swallow a condom full of Coke. And it's like, we're wasting so much time on this one scene. There's nothing redeeming of this movie. This movie is not funny. It is just a chore and almost torture to get through. I fucking could not stand this film. This was not in your worst?
It was just outside. It was probably like my 11th. Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, this was one of your most disappointing. It's just like, this is so fucking bad. It's not as bad as Playdate, but it's really fucking close.
It's not as bad as Playdate. All right. My next one is a movie, again, with people I really like, but just the movie was just shit. There's a reason it was dumped straight to VOD. And it's a movie called Twisted. It stars,
number 1.
That's your number 1.
That's my number 1.
Jaimin Hansu doesn't get to star in a lot of movies. But when he does, he usually ends up being some straight-to-video shit. Lauren Lavera, who I love in the Terrifier movies, and I'm still waiting for her to get a great role outside of Terrifier. Still waiting, because this ain't it. I'm like, oh, she finally gets another starring role. She's got a good actor to act against as like the villain. I'm like, this will be good. And I watched it, and just as the movie went on, I was just getting more and more, largely just bored with it. It's like, I'll be honest right now, I don't remember hardly anything about this movie. I just remember that I was bored with it. I only stuck it through to the end because of the two main leads. That's it.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said. Laura Lavera has become a primo final girl for us because of Terrifier. Mm-hmm. Like, we want to see her succeed because she is very appealing. She's I mean, outside of being beautiful, she's just very grabbing when you watch her perform. You're like, I want to see her do other things other than just Terrifier, because I feel like she could be something huge if given the opportunity. And then you got Djimon Hounsou, who has proven so many times that he is capable of being a great actor, but just no one wants to give him the opportunity to do so. So we were both kind of like, all right, like this isn't like a big film, but let's see what they got to do. And it's just fucking awful. And it's like, and it's part of one of the things. It's like, I don't necessarily. It's like I don't want to blame either one of them, but they don't help make the movie better. So it's one of those things where it's like normally you're like, oh, they're fine. The script's bad. The script is bad, but then they're also bad.
They could have been directed badly, though. So
yeah, it's like I know they're both capable of better, and they both just really listened to the director, and they probably shouldn't have. And like you, I'm trying to remember why it was so bad, because like the premise initially was like, okay, this is intriguing, and then we get the turn, and then it's like, oh man, this movie's going downhill fast, and it just became the rolling ball from Raiders, where it's not going to stop. It's just going to keep getting worse, and then it just ends.
The problem is with such a slow rolling boulders. You're like, can we just get to the end? Come on.
Yes. The color design, like at first I was like, oh, I like the bright neon red blue kind of thing, but after a while it starts to give you a headache. There's this like brute that's a part that's like a henchman or like an assistant to Djimon Hounsou who's just takes too much screen time. There's like these other subplots with the cops that are just, the cops are awful in this movie. They're poorly written and they take up too much screen time. Just there's nothing redeeming about this movie. It is just a horrible film. And if I remember the ending has a twist. And it was such a shitty twist that even I was like, that would never work or that would never be able to happen. So this ending is so fucking dumb. I can't even remember it. I just remember them like in a cabin somewhere. And I don't like, I barely remember it. Like, it's a good thing that I don't remember it. It's bad for you guys because we're trying to tell you, but I don't remember it, and I'm happy that I don't. I just remember being like, this was easily the worst film of the year.
Yeah.
So you got one more, and I got one more.
I have two more.
You have two more. Okay, so
yeah. Well, I have Passenger, which I've already talked about. I'm disappointed. Is my number 4. So
okay,
I don't have anything more to say about that.
Okay. Well, then my other one is
my 2 is Killer Whale, so all I have left is my number 1.
Okay, so my number 2 is something that you mentioned earlier, and you're disappointed, and that's Night Patrol.
Man, that was like 12.
What's that?
That was just outside my 10 worst too. Yeah.
Oh, okay, but it wasn't your most disappointing though.
Yes.
Yeah. I actually was genuinely excited for this movie. Like, I knew it wasn't gonna get a big theatrical thing, but I was like, hey, it's got I gotta pull up the cast again because I've been saying too many people, so now my brain's getting mushed. But it's got Jermaine Fowler, an actor who I like, who I think is capable of so much more. Justin Long, I like Justin Long. He doesn't always do the best things, but I like him enough in this. RJ Cyler, we both love and want to see him do more. And then, of course, for me, CM Punk, pro wrestler. He's been doing more horror stuff, so I'm like, all right, cool, branch out, do your thing. He's a passable to okay actor, but I liked what he was going to be in this movie, which seemed to be kind of the main, bad guy cop. Mm-hmm. And then he got, Dermot Mulroney, who I also like. And the concept of it was solid. It's a solid fucking premise. You have Night Patrol cops who play by their own rules. Why? Because they're fucking vampires. And they kind of are like taking on, like, I'll call them the projects. Because no one cares about the people in the projects. So why not, feast on them and do all this stuff? And you have Justin Long, who's trying to find his dad, who's played by Dermot Mulroney, who apparently was killed on duty, and he knows the night patrol was a part of it, so he's trying to get into the night patrol to infiltrate them and figure out who killed his father, which, once again, solid fucking premise. RJ Cyler is one of the guys who lives in the projects and, is kind of seeing his side of the life, and then you have this movie kind of unfold, and everything in this movie should work. Like, even comedic tones, there's some comedic tones in this that could be funny, but it could not decide whether it wanted to be a political statement, a serious film, or an outright comedy. The only time I think when the comedy actually did work is when you had the guys arguing over like the gang members arguing over like what kills a vampire and doesn't, but that's not in the movie enough for it to be considered a comedy. The seriousness of it, I think, is why it didn't work, because you have a lot of actors who are funny people and you're making them all be serious. I think CM Punk was actually probably the best part of the film because he knew what movie he was supposed to be in. RJ Cyler was good, but he was towing that line as well. But I think he was solid. Justin Long, I think, could have been solid in the movie, but they kind of cut off his storyline too soon, and they didn't let that storyline build up long enough. But it was everything around them that just did not work. The attack on the project should have been something awesome, and it wasn't. The fucking running scene. I'm sorry, but like, I know that there are some times where actors don't want to like stand up to a director going, "This is shit." Like, why can't we just run? Like, why can't we just run? Like, just shoot us running. But to have like RJ Cyler and was it his mom or something like doing the running like this, and it's like, am I supposed to be taking this movie seriously or not? Because the whole time you've been telling me this is a serious film, and then you do shit like that, where it's like, I'm checked out now. You've completely lost me. And then once again, you make it a political thing as well, which is like, that is not what this movie is supposed to be. So it's like, there were so many aspects of this that should have worked really fucking well. And this could have been something like Day Shift with Jamie Foxx, where it's like, that actually was fun and it worked really well for what it was doing. And Night Patrol could have been that, but they chose to do every wrong thing at every moment that you had a choice to do so. And it's just like, you just kept watching it. You're just like, what? You are imploding this film. Your choices are the reason why this film sucks. The movie does not suck. You making these decisions is why this sucked. And it was one of the most frustrating experiences I've had this year, because I see the potential of where this could have actually been fun. And it's literally one of the worst films of the year for me.
Yeah. My last film, the worst film of the year so far. I have to think it's going to be there at the end of this year. It'll also be on the overrated, because apparently I saw a different movie than everybody fucking else who saw this movie. Sean's going to love the fuck out of this movie when he sees it, because Sean loves Paranormal Activity. This movie is Undertone. Undertone is a fucking pile
I still
of
have
shit.
not seen this film yet. This
movie is a fucking pile of shit that's got great reviews from everybody else on Letterboxd except for me, apparently. It's a whole lot of nothing going on. Except instead of watching fuzzy video footage from home security cameras, instead we're just listening to like this recorded, and it's just like, you're supposed to be listening for something. Oh, I heard a little bit of noise. I'm supposed to be super scared now. It just fucking sucked. There's not a single scary movie. There's not a single scary moment in this entire movie. And people, and I watched it in the perfect environment. I went to an advanced screening of it, so it was a packed theater of people who wanted to see this movie. So there's enthusiasm involved. It was in a Dolby cinema, which has the Dolby Atmos sound, because every single review is like, oh, the sound design of this movie is so great. So I was sitting in the theater with like the great sound, didn't do anything for me. And I really don't know what movie anyone else saw, because this is just so boring and everybody thinks it's so great, and I fucking hated this.
Okay, can you explain something to me then?
I can try.
What is the actual point of, like, is it like you play this and then it kills you, or like what is the actual like point?
There's this woman who hosts a podcast, and she gets these recordings sent to her. She runs a podcast where they talk about paranormal, people's ghost stories and encounters and things. Somebody sends these recordings, and she starts listening to them. And then, of course, in the meantime, she also taking care of her mom, who's like, I don't know if she's quite comatose, but she's basically completely out of it. But then weird things start happening around the house. She starts hearing things. She starts seeing things. She can't. Things are going on with her mom, which I won't spoil things, but it's just it. I don't know that they really ever fully explain everything, but it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, look, there's creepy shit happening, but it's not creepy.
So is it like because she plays the audio files, haunted shit gets in her house? Or is it like Evil Dead where because she played this, like a curse thing happened? Like, I'm not getting what the...
I think so. I honestly, because I watched the movie one time, obviously. I was going to watch it again, and I pretty much just fucking let it out of my head. So I don't remember all those details. I think it's on HBO Max now if you want to watch it. But okay. Yeah,
I love that he threw in the jab at Paranormal Activity. Sean's gonna love this because he fucking loves nothing because Paranormal Activity.
Well, no, because when I glanced at it to see what review said to remind myself, if I had any specifics to talk. And the first thing I said was, not since Paranormal Activity have I seen a movie this completely boring that thinks it's so scary. That was my first line.
Until the back room.
My first thought was, oh, Sean loved Paranormal Activity. He'll probably love this movie.
I love Paranormal Activity, but also the back rooms, nothing happens. But okay, so those are our worst films of the year. Now we're going to our best. Did you have any honorable mentions?
I mean, I could mention some. I didn't really make a formal list of them.
Is there anything outside of your top 10 that you would like to mention?
A couple, I will actually.
Okay, go ahead.
And they might be on your list, so you don't need to respond to them now. I like my next few after my top 10. Missing the Cut. Mike and Nick and Alice. Enjoyed the hell out of this movie on Hulu. It was fun. Didn't make my top 10 though. The Rip was a Netflix movie I enjoyed. It was in my top 10 for a good chunk of the year, but it's been slowly getting knocked down by other stuff. Caroline, which I just watched this past week. Actually, I just finished it yesterday. I really enjoyed that movie. The last kind of act, I didn't love the way the movie ended, but both of the two, Kyle Gallner and Samara Weaving, did a great job, and I love their chemistry, and they were great in the movie. Masters of the Universe, it's not top 10, but it's like made like the top 15 for me at the moment. That's about it for now. And there's one other one which I'll mention later because I'm sure it's on your list for top 10.
Yeah, for me, The Rip, I think, was just outside of my top 15, but like you, it was in my top 10 for a good chunk, and then it kind of dropping out. Wrecking Crew was like at number 16 for me. 15, I've mentioned 3 of them already, which was Couples Weekend, Swapped, Masters of the Universe. They were all in my top 15. The 3 that the 2 that I haven't talked about yet, which I'll give brief little acknowledgments for right now. One of them might be in your top 10. So like you said to me, don't say anything now, just wait. Which is The Invite. Just watched that this past weekend. It's basically, I call it a bottle movie now, since it basically is like a bottle episode. For people who don't know what that is, that's basically when like the entire episode is in one location. They don't like change scenes. It's everything's done
like the Seinfeld parking lot episode, for instance,
or Friends, getting ready for the Ross's award ceremony, and the whole episode is in the room. This is definitely a bottle movie. Everything is, for the most, outside of like the very, very first scene where like Seth Rogen's at work and on a bus, like the entire movie is taking place in the apartment. And it's very much one of those that like, this feels like it's a stage play, but you got Seth Rogen, Olivia Wilde, who's also directed. And then you got Edward Norton and Penelope Cruz. It is, I feel different ways towards it because of what's going on with my life than Brian, but I can also remove that stuff away from my brain and watch it as what it is. And it is 4 actors who are knocking this out of the park. It's got real snappy dialogue that is a blink and you won't hear it because you're laughing, and especially from Seth Rogen. There's some great dialogue in this that you're laughing and then you miss the next joke because he's still going, because it's quick. Like it's like quick jabs. Like everyone's talking, he hits it with a joke, he backs back out, back in, back out. Edward Norton is very much still in that kind of Knives Out, like zone where it's like he's funny, but he's just awkward and weird, but he's funny. Penelope Cruz is just gorgeous as hell in this movie, and she fits in well. And then of course Olivia Wilde, I never really look at her as a comedic person, but she actually has some great like moments in this. But it's a movie where you see these four people just interacting with each other, and it's them knocking it out of the park the whole time. So definitely kudos to that. Like I said, I'm sure this is in Brian's top 10. So I probably won't bug him. Yes, it is. Okay. So I won't ask any more from him. And then the only other one I've got worth mentioning is Sheep Detective. Charming film. Great cast around. It's probably the most charming animal film since Babe. You know, it's got a bunch of farm animals trying to solve the murder of their owner, played by Hugh Jackman. The townspeople are quirky in their own way. And it was a fine film. Like I remember watching it and just like, I really don't have much to critique about it, but I don't like, it's good. It's not blowing me over, but at the same time, I'm having a good time watching it. It's just, it is what it is. I had a fun experience with it, and that's it. So yeah, those are our honorable mentions for the best of the year so far. Why don't you go ahead and start with your number 10, since I started on my number 10 first in the worst.
Okay, we'll start with one I'm quite sure Sean's going to disagree with. This movie I just had a ton of fun with. I've already watched it twice. I'll probably watch it a third time. It's a movie from director Tommy Wirkola, who I mentioned earlier today. He directed the original version of Over My Dead Body. It was called The Trip. This is the better shark movie of the year called Thrash. This is my number 10 movie of the year so far.
Number 10, wow.
Because I judge movies. We've always said, at least me, I think you too, when I'm making my list, this is based on my entertainment, how much I enjoy watching a movie, what makes it, if I want to watch it again, whatever. This is what makes this movie a success for me is this movie did what other ones like Hungry and something else we were talking about did not do.
Killer Whale.
Where it knew the tone, it knew the right tone of what it was supposed to be. This thing had its tongue firmly in its cheek. It played everything with a wink. And while I mean, most of the characters weren't doing anything overtly comedic, but it was clearly almost kind of satirical in that the situations were so outlandish and some of the decisions they make are so funny that it was clearly supposed to be a comedy. And especially coming from this director, who basically everything he does, whether it be the Dead Snow with the Nazi zombies, or it be Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, everything he does is like got a genre, but it's also got a comedic side to it. I thought that it was a ton of fun. I think that when I saw the trailers, I expected it to be a straight serious thriller, but it's not, because I mean it was just a ton of fun. Like I said, I've already watched it a second time, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. Now, if you're watching this, looking at it as a straight shark thriller, like a Shallows or a whatever, you're going to sit there and be like, roll your eyes the entire time. You're like, what the fuck is this? If you watch it with the tone that I'm quite sure the director intended, which is this is supposed to be over the top and funny and kind of bizarre, I think you'll enjoy the hell out of it. I
did not hate it. It's like my 56 out of 76.
I knew you didn't have it high on your list.
Yeah. I prefer Crawl if we're going with the same context of what the story is. I think Crawl is a superior film, which is literally the same thing but with alligators.
Yeah, except Crawl's playing it straight though.
Yeah, no, Crawl's 100% playing it straight. Yeah. I didn't hate it. I don't think it's top 10. Wow, that wows the fuck out of me. But
hey, wait till you hear the rest of my list, man. If you think I just go for what personally tickles my funny bone or whatever, it's coming.
Yeah, we both already prefaced that this is going to be the weirdest top 10 that either one of us has ever had, especially at the half-year mark.
Also, half my list is streaming movies, by the way.
Oh, if I'm looking at mine, 1, 2, 3,
not quite
4,
half, but almost. Yeah.
5. Yeah, half my list is streaming. So yeah, I agree. Yeah, Thrash. Wow, I would not have. I would not.
But you got a 10.
Yeah, you got me on that one. I was not prepared for that. I don't hate the movie, but I was not prepared for that. My number 10 is I think you liked it, but this is going to be one of your eye roll overrated of the year. But Obsession, to me, the best horror film of the year so far. And there's only one reason why. There's only one reason why Obsession is in the top 10. It's not because of the story. It's not because of the directing. It's literally because of one fucking performance, and that's Indy Never Eats. Is it Never Eat? Am I saying that right?
I never heard it pronounced out loud, so I don't know.
Okay. Nikki, the main girl who's being affected by the wish, her performance. Brian knows this from me. If there is a horror movie that has a top tier performance, that's going to elevate it to a higher realm for me. I mean, look at even though he doesn't necessarily agree with it, Naomi Scott and Smile 2. Like, I love Smile. I hate Smile, but Smile 2 is right up there for me because of Naomi Scott's performance. Toni Collette in Hereditary. There's one I'm blanking on that I also love. But it's when a performance excels past the movie, then I will love it that much more. And Indy's performance as Nikki is what makes this movie work as well, which is why it's still killing at the box office. It has nothing to do with anyone else in the cast. Not that everyone else in the cast sucks. They're all serviceable. They're all fine. But you go to see this movie because of her performance. She is, to me, the female version of Jim Carrey, except she started in horror and is not doing comedy. The way she's able to morph her face, that's where the Jim Carrey part coming in. Where Jim Carrey's face is like putty. He can do whatever he fucking wants, and it works. The way she's performing this character, I have never seen someone do a frown that looks 100% like a grin upside down. But the way she acts in this movie is amazing. The film itself is very simple. It's very basic. But it takes a basic premise and has someone knock it out of the fucking park with a performance and elevates it to where it's at right now. Though I think it deserves all the money it's getting. Fuck no. It's wildly getting way too much money. Good for you guys. Like, seriously, good for you. But it doesn't deserve to be like over $300 million. But I absolutely love Indy's performance in this. She is the only reason why I actually gave this movie a shot, is because I just kept hearing how amazing it was. And I was fully prepared to watch this and go, it wasn't that great. But like literally halfway through the film, I'm like, fuck me, she's amazing in this. But yeah, Obsession is in my top 10. It definitely won't stay there because one performance cannot keep a movie in the top 10 the whole year for me. But I want to at least make sure it got acknowledged on here, because I knew Brian wasn't going to acknowledge this movie as much.
Yeah, no, I thought this was a good movie. I think it is getting overpraised, and especially the money is kind of crazy. But I've kind of filed it away, kind of like I did with like Titanic. Some people, turned on Titanic and hated it because they were so fucking sick of hearing about it for a year straight while it was still in theaters and making all this money. But it's like you have to separate the film from like the hype around a film or the people. And for me, that's what I'm doing. It's like I'm not going to fault the film for the fact that people are going a little overboard in their praise of it and things like that. But it's still a good movie. All right, so where am I?
Your number 9.
My number 9. My number 9 is Mortal Kombat 2. Now, these bottom section of my top 10, there's no way possible that are they going to be in my top 10 at the end of the year. Mortal Kombat 2, I would not even think of right now. If you asked me right now, I'd be like, is that your top 10? I'd be like, no, that's not my top 10. But it is, just because of what there's been so far.
Well, according to the list here, well, fuck me, it is.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I really liked the first Mortal Kombat. It had a couple flaws here and there. I did not have some of the issues that my co-host here, Sean, had. But
he's not wrong.
I did agree that the focus on the creative fighter, of Louis Tan was what are Cole's character's name. I thought that was a weird way. I mean, I understand we want to follow. He's like our bridge. Like he's the audience. So you introduce this world, so everything's being explained to him. So I understand why they did it, but you have so many great characters in the world of Mortal Kombat It's like they didn't need to create one. But anyway, so I really liked the first movie. I thought it was great. Finally an R-rated one. It was great effects and great gore, and I thought it was a decent story. And then we get in this one, we're finally bringing in Johnny Cage with Carl Urban, who we love as Johnny Cage. I just think that they took everything that worked in the first one and they continued it on here. I don't know that I think this one is better than the first one or worse than the first one. I think for me, it's kind of like right there. I liked a lot of the additions. The action scenes were obviously great. I just had a fun time with it.
Yeah, I think I said it as, in terms of which movie I would watch, I'd watch Mortal Kombat 2 9 times out of 10. But Mortal Kombat's story was better than Mortal Kombat 2, which was just strictly just fight, which that's all we wanted in the first one. But with this one, it just lacked a story to help the characters get stronger throughout. And then once again, because it's a tournament, you had that whole well, obviously it's a tournament to the death, so these people got to die. And they're like, oh, but not really, because we can bring them back, which takes the whole shock value of everyone out of it, which once again was bringing it back to Mortal Kombat 1. If you could just bring everyone back to life to fight in Mortal Kombat 2, why the fuck did they not bring Goro
no stakes
back?
Yeah,
well, there's also then why not bring Goro back?
Like,
he's your champion, why wouldn't you fucking bring Goro back? Let's bring back Kano. Well, Kano's because he had this thing, but it's like at the same time,
they're probably like, wait, who'd he lose to? That motherfucker? Oh, he's staying dead.
Which he beat Shao Kahn, which pisses me off even more. If Shao Kahn didn't have the invisibility thing, he beat Shao Kahn. Fuck you, Cole. But still, I enjoyed it for what it was. And the biggest worry for me was Carl Urban as Johnny Cage, and he was actually quite enjoyable as Johnny Cage. Also, more Johnny Cage and Kano together. That to me was the best aspect of the film, was those two together. My number 9 is another streaming film, and that is Remarkably Bright Creatures. Stars Sally Field and Lewis Pullman and Alfred Molina. This was just a charming, feel-good story. Just really well done. It's a dramedy to a point. I think Lewis Pullman is another up-and-coming actor that we're both gravitating towards and liking what he's doing. And he's finally not playing Bob. He has an actual name in this, which is nice, and not just Bob. I think he does a great job in this film. I think Sally Field, who always is amazing, is great in this. Alfred Molina does great voice work as the octopus. And it just was a feel-good story. I mean, I say feel-good because it is about two depressing people and a depressing octopus. But by the time we get to the end of the film, I felt good, and I just like the world. Cole is a Colm Meaney. I always think
Colm Meaney, yes.
Who's always prominently a fucking asshole prick in all his movies. He's actually a good dude in this, so it was out of character, and I liked it. But yeah, I really enjoyed this film.
All right.
Did you ever watch that one?
I didn't see that one. No.
You didn't see it? Okay.
My next one is Scary Movie, 2026.
Okay.
I told you were going to be surprised by a lot of movies.
I just didn't think that one, based off of how we talked about it, I just didn't think it would be in your top 10, but all right.
Yeah, no, we did do a whole video. We talked about this, so again, I won't go into great detail. I do think it's the best one since the original. I think that one of the reasons for that is that they took a decade off or so to kind of let there be new movies or even new whole subgenres of horror to pop up that they can spoof on, because when they were churning them out, they were running out of good movies to spoof, and it started turning into just random pop culture, moments and references. And so I think the smartest thing they did was take a bunch of time off, bring back the guys who did the original one, and they kind of get a fresh take on it. I think that it did a great job of kind of satirizing the whole, these, what do they call it? Not the requels. He had a
rebooticals, rebooty calls.
Rebooty calls or something like that. Yeah, I don't remember.
Rebooticals or something like that.
Like with Scream, and the whole thing about there's this new generation is kind of taking over the franchise, and they have a whole area of the movie that covers that, and I think that it's genius how they do that. I think the casting of Anna Faris's daughter, Cindy's daughter, I think it was great casting because she's totally believable, and I can totally see her being her daughter. But I do think at times she was trying too hard to do like an impression of her, and even like an over the top impression of her. So a couple times it got to be a little bit too much. But I think that was good casting. But overall, I had a ton of fun with this one. Like any of these, spoof movies, it's all about volume, because not every joke's going to hit, but for every one that doesn't hit, there's 5 that do. So I had fun.
Yeah, we shot a whole review, so you guys can go back and watch my opinion on that instead of going all over again. My number 8, I'm pretty sure is in Brian's top 10 and probably higher. If it's not, then what the fuck? Because he loves this movie way more than I did, and that is Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die.
I actually had just moved that down to number 7 today.
Really? I figured that'd be in your top 3. So yeah, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. Easily, if not number 1, top 2 weirdest fucking film of the year. It is such a weird fucking film, but you won't get bored. You will not be bored watching this movie. You got Sam Rockwell doing what Sam Rockwell does best, which is just be zany the whole way through. Rest of the cast, I'm blanking on the rest of the cast, honestly.
You got Juno, you got Haley Richardson's as he beats. Yeah,
Michael Pena. So it's got a solid cast around them. I would describe the plot, but that's kind of like the point, is not really knowing what the fuck's happening and just going into it that way. So I am not going to explain the plot to you guys if you have not seen this yet. Just know that you're never going to know what the next scene is going to bring you, because just when you think you have everything under control or understood, then something completely is thrown in. You're like, what the fuck is going on? And normally that would piss me off, or normally that would annoy me, but for some reason it works with this movie. And I think it was one of those things where it's as I'm watching, I'm borderline, I don't know if I like this or not. I'm teetering the whole way through. And then when we got to the actual end, I'm like, you know what? No, that was actually really fucking good. I'm not going to punish this movie for being unique and different and trying to keep you on your toes. And that's what that movie did.
Yeah, no, this is I think I said it was fucking weird, but luckily it's my kind of weird. Because it's bizarre. And the basic line for everyone else to know, I'm trying to explain the plot. It's just Sam Rockwell shows up in this diner claiming to be this man from the future, and he needs to assemble a group of just the right combination of people to save from the end of the world. That's basically all you need to know about it. But this is a movie. It was much higher on my list. For a while it was number 1 until more movies came out. But it was kind of hovering around that 3-4 area. I did just drop it down recently because the more I thought about it, it's there are so many aspects of the movie that I really loved, especially Sam Rockwell. Perfect choice for the lead of this movie. I can't even see anybody else doing this role. He did a great job. And actually the rest of the cast fits pretty well too. But not the whole movie works for me, especially when you get towards the end of the movie. It I think they kind of fumbles the ball at the end again in this one. But I can't deny that it's a ton of fun, and just watching Sam Rockwell cook is just worth it. The price of admission alone. So
that was my 8, but that was your 7. So now it goes back to me. My number 7 on my first of, wow, never would have guessed that would be in his top 10. A rom-com, Office Romance on Netflix. What can I say? I'm such a slut for Ted Lasso. So you bring in a character or an actor from Ted Lasso, I'm immediately going to gravitate towards it, especially Brett Goldstein, a.k.a. Roy Kent. And then you add J-Lo, who, acting-wise, I can take her or leave her, but obviously, she's just one of the most beautiful women alive. But on top of having... I'm going to keep calling him Roy Kent, but his name is Brett Goldstein. But on top of having him, who's basically playing... he's just a likable guy in this. And but still able to be funny and saying cunt and all this shit, and it's just that's exactly what Roy would do in Ted Lasso. Mixed with J-Lo and having this kind of they are attracted to each other, but they shouldn't be because it's boss and employee, and then having them hook up and then having to hide it. it's got that rated R humor that I miss in rom-coms, because rom-coms always try to play it safe with the PG-13. This one is allowed to be rated R, and it's allowed to have fun and be raunchy and have those kinds of jokes. I also really enjoyed Betty Gilpin in this as like the best friend assistant to J-Lo. I think she is hilarious, and they're just letting her cook in this, and I'm so happy for it. I also really enjoyed Jodie Whittaker, who plays Brett Goldstein's sister in this. I love her in a lot of things, and most people know her from playing the Doctor in one of the last series of Doctor Who. But I think she's having fun with this. You got Bradley Whitford, Amy Sedaris, who I know Brian is not a huge fan of, Edward James Olmos. I just had fun with this, and this is one of those I've watched it a second time since the initial time, and I'm still just enjoying the chemistry between Brett Goldstein and J-Lo and the humor and everything. And what I also love about this as well is a little behind the camera. Brett Goldstein wrote this, and he wrote this with the mindset of, I'll probably never make this, but I'm gonna write me starring opposite of my movie star crush, which is Jennifer Lopez. So he basically wrote this movie and got to choose his biggest crush, and then basically get to make out with her all the time on the screen. Bravo fucking oh, Brett. Good for you, dude. Good for you that you managed to get that dream come true for you. But yeah, I really enjoyed this film.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, not nearly as much as you. It's like in my high 30s, low 40s, but it was all right. And J-Lo's still looking good as always.
J-Lo still looks amazing.
Good choice, Brett Goldstein.
Yes.
All right. My next one is Crime 101, which I know I enjoyed this one more than Sean did.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
This is a movie with Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, Halle Berry, and unfortunately Barry Keoghan. Although I didn't hate him in this movie, I thought he was actually decent in this movie, which actually right there is already a victory for it. It's been compared a lot to Heat. And in some aspects, it's a lot like the Thomas Crown Affair as well, which I love that movie. So those are two great movies for me, I think, to be compared against. I just loved the style of it, the tone of it. It felt like like an old Michael Mann kind of movie. It was kind of unique. I mean, it's it still has like the tone of a lot of other like crime movies, especially LA crime movies, but it didn't feel like it was derivative of any of them. I thought the performances were all good. It was actually, I was worried you're going to watch this, you'd be like, look, there's Thor and the Hulk talking again. But I never felt that. It never took me out of the movie. I enjoyed both those actors. I will say that Halle Berry's role kind of seemed pretty superfluous after a while. There's like to have somebody to play against and kind of doing the cat and mouse thing. It worked, but then like her whole subplot with her job and what's going on, that was a whole part that I thought was not needed at all. But other than that, I really enjoyed this movie. And this is another movie that kind of came out of nowhere. I think I had heard this movie was being made just by title and the cast. But I enjoyed the hell out of it. I thought the style was great.
If I had honorable mentions for worst of the year, this would have been in it. I was so bored for this movie. I just kept losing my attention every time I kept watching this. And I agree. They forced Halle Berry into the second act when she was really a first act character only, but because she's Halle Berry, we had to have her continually be in the film. And adding these subplots for her so that way she was still relevant throughout the movie was really irritating. Even though I love Halle Berry, it's just don't cast someone like her if you're not gonna, if you don't have a reason for her to be in the film. Yeah, I'm not gonna rip it apart any more than that. It just did not work for me. Like I was even at work the other day, and my boss was talking about it and praising it. And I was just sitting there like biting my tongue, like don't give them your thoughts, don't say what you really want to say. And then like I walked away, and my buddy at work was like, I should check that out. I go, don't waste your time. It's not good. It's like it's really not good. But yeah, I was definitely not a fan of that. My number 6 is a movie that Brian has not seen, which is why I shot the review on my own, and that is Toy Story 5. I will admit it is the weakest Toy Story, but the weakest Toy Story is still better than 95% of other animated films out there and everything. I know Brian doesn't agree with that. I liked 4, but I think 4 had a stronger. I think 4 I think five's main plot is stronger than four, but I think everything that's happening around four is stronger than five. I think it was a smart idea to have the main focus or the main character of five be Jessie, because she has been around since two. And while Toy Story 4 was a strong Woody story, it only made sense to give Jessie a lead character plot in five, especially when it's the story that we've been building since Toy Story 2. I think everything with Joan Cusack is great. I think she's fantastic in this. I mean, she's always good, but because she's the lead, she carries so much more of the weight in this over, Tom and Tim, that I was thoroughly impressed with Joan Cusack in this as Jessie. The new characters, I thought they were fine. I actually ended up liking them more as the movie went on. There's a subplot with a bunch of Buzz Lightyears that was completely unnecessary in this film. I do feel like they got to a certain point in the third act and they were like, well, how are the toys going to get out of this one scenario? And they go, well, what if this happens? Okay, well, how is that going to happen? And then they created this whole subplot of all these extra Buzz Lightyears that started the film. And I think that they were only created because they got to this part of the movie and go, I can't figure out how to get the toys out of this part. Because that's how pointless this plot is until we get to that end point where I'm like, oh, okay, now we have the because the whole time this movie's going on, I'm like, what is the point of these buzzes? And then we get them like, there's the point. And I'm like, there's only like 10 minutes left in the movie, but they finally got to a point where they made sense. I also feel that Woody was not necessary in this film, and Woody is my favorite character. But the problem is that there was never a point in this film where Woody was necessary, except for maybe one scene, and it was the very first scene he was in. And after that, they were like, well, we got to have him in here because it's Woody. But it's like, you could remove Woody from this movie, and the movie is still the same fucking movie, except that Buzz would be doing everything on his own. But you got to have Buzz and Woody together, but their plot was just there because I don't feel like they would have felt that people would have cared about this movie as much if it was just a Jessie story without Woody and Buzz. I think animation style, everything still looks fantastic. I think, like I said, the Jessie story is very strong. There's just certain aspects that were not necessarily needed that maybe could have made the movie stronger, but it still is a fantastic film, just the weakest of the five. Actually, I probably would still put it behind Lightyear, too, because I actually enjoyed Lightyear. A lot of people didn't, but I actually liked Lightyear. But I haven't seen Lightyear since theaters, so I give myself the chance to change my thought on that if I rewatch Lightyear. But when I got out of the movie, I was like, I think remembering wise, I think I like Lightyear more.
Well, I've seen Toy Story 4 and I've seen Lightyear. So if you put these behind those, then I'm definitely not in a rush to watch.
Like I said, it depends on how much you love the Jessie character, because she is 100%.
I do like Jessie, though.
And like I said, I like Jessie. I don't love Jessie, but after this, I loved Jessie. So, yeah.
My next one, this one's a Netflix movie, War Machine, number 5 for the moment.
If we were gonna force me to do a top 10 surprising, this would have been in my top 10 surprising.
Yeah, this is a movie. It's not a lot to say about this movie. It's a very simple premise. There's not a lot to it. It's basically this machine shows up, and Alan Ritchson and his crew are just fighting for their lives. That's your entire fucking plot right there. It's simple, but what it does well. It's just, this is basically an hour and a half or 2 hours, whatever, of just like action scenes of them trying to fight off this gigantic behemoth of a machine that's attacking them. And like I said, what it does well. I think Alan Ritchson fits this kind of role. I mean, I think he's smart. He's not trying to do any high, Oscar caliber acting. He's picking roles that fit him well. And then he's picking roles like Playdate, which should have fit him well, actually. It's just a really awful fucking script and it was made better. But I think when he picks something like this that really just plays into his strengths, I think that he's great in it, and I had a blast watching this.
Yeah, I enjoyed this for what it was. I mean, the subplot with him and his brother, which once again, blanking on his brother's name. Boomerang.
Jai Courtney.
Thank you, Jai Courtney. Can we please give Jai Courtney something to do? I mean, he did Dangerous Animals, which I enjoyed, but do we have to keep killing him off so quickly? Let Jai Courtney act, guys. Come on. I liked that subplot. I do think they could have done a better job, like feeling out the other people in his brigade or group. I don't know if that was the right term because are they SEALs? I can't remember what they are.
Army Ranger training.
Army Rangers. And then of course by the time we get to the end of the movie, it's like, oh no, there's whole other big fucking shit happening. And it's like, okay, like, but we're focusing on this one little time. They're making a sequel. I'm sure
It's
we're
a
gonna
tease
see
for a
more of
sequel.
that. Yeah, I was like, we're getting a sequel. But no, I think like you said, the things that it does well, it does really fucking well. So yeah, I did enjoy that one. My number 5 is something that Brian mentioned earlier. His number 1 surprise of the year, fucking pizza movie. That was your number 1 surprise, right?
Yep.
Yeah. This is easily the movie I've watched the most this year. I think I watched this movie like 3 times in a week. I fucking love this film. It is. I can't remember the last time I laughed so hard watching a movie. Like, I was in tears watching this. Like, I lost breath watching this. I was laughing so fucking hard. All in the same scene too, which is the cussing scene. That scene is hands down the funniest scene of the year. I love the characters. I love the simplicity of it. It reminds me of those early, like late 90s, 2000s films like 100 Girls, where it's like it's one of those like movies you'd catch on like Showtime at like 2:00 in the morning, and then it ends up becoming like one of your favorite films to watch because it's on at 2 a.m. every night, and so you just keep putting it on and you just keep watching it over and over and over again. The plot is simple as hell. It's just they're high on something, and they're just trying to get downstairs to get to pizza, and everything fucking goes wrong. 2 leads. You got oh my god, Gattinson. Gatton. I don't want to say his last name wrong. Matarazzo from Stranger Things. Yeah, Dustin from Stranger Things. And then you got Sean Gambrone, which I know him from the Goldbergs. And I loved him in the Goldbergs. And he is so damn funny. They work so well together. And then you also have Becky, Lulu Wilson. She works well with them. The movie is just laugh out loud insanity. There's so many times in the movie I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? And then of course they're saying the exact same thing. It's the most fun I've had watching a movie all year, and it makes me want to watch it again tonight. That's how much fun. Just talking about it makes me want to go back and watch it again. Not enough people are seeing this movie. It's on Hulu. This is a must watch for everybody. This is probably the one film, looking at my top 10, this is the one film that I'm looking at that I will be sad knowing that this probably won't stay in my top 10 by year's end. But that means that it'll probably be, just like with Brian, my most number 1 surprising film of the year. I just love this movie so much.
What number 2?
It was my number 2 for a while, and then it just like I kept having to like nitpick, going, well, yeah, this part wasn't that strong, so let me move it down 1.
I'll just talk about it now briefly. We have a whole video on this one. Please go watch that. We talk about it more in depth. But this is just a ton of fun. I think the 2 leads have great chemistry. I think it's unique. It's original. I can't wait to see what these writer-directors do, after this. I'm really going to keep an eye on them because I think that they have a great comedic sensibility and one that matches my tastes completely. And I'll say the only thing I'll say from our previous review of it, where we kind of discussed that what I had read in a review, but I think it's absolutely accurate, is that this whole movie is basically that stages of being high segment from 21 Jump Street. So if you remember that, just picture that, drag it straight out into a whole movie, and it's bonkers, and I love it. And go watch our full review.
Yeah, absolutely, go watch this. What is your number 4? Or no, you just gave your 2, so I'll go again.
Okay.
So that way we stay balanced. My number 4, you mentioned, I believe, in your honorable mentions for this, and that is Mike and Nick and Alice. Also on Hulu? Is it also Hulu?
Yes, Hulu.
Yeah. This was one of those that I like watched just to be like, all right, I got to check it out. And then just was like, this is great. I really am having a fun time with this. Like, you got James Marsden, who always plays like the side guy or like the friend, or, you know, he's never like the lead in a lot of things. And I don't count Sonic because he wasn't the lead in Sonic. He was, you know, Sonic was the lead. He was just the number 2 dude. Then you got Vince Vaughn, who doesn't do as much anymore, but when he does pop up, though, I'm so happy with what he chooses to do now. Like, I haven't really been disappointed in anything that he's done lately. And then you got, you know, Isa Gonzalez, who Brian's always going to love in anything she's in. The concept of the film, which has to do with time travel and trying to fix the past, very Back to the Future-esque in a way, I think works well at points, but it's Vince Vaughn and James Marsden and Isa Gonzalez that make this movie as memorable and as fun as it is. And also, the unwritten MVP of this movie that makes me love it even more is Jimmy Tatro. Jimmy Tatro is so fucking good in this. Once again, another actor who never gets his fucking due and needs to be in more things. He is hilarious and steals every scene he's in. And he's not in the movie enough, but when he's there, it's a great fucking time.
He's not my MVP of this movie, though.
What's that?
He's not my MVP of this movie.
Who's the MVP for you?
My MVP of this movie is Ben Schwartz.
You're talking about for the opening?
Yeah.
Yes, I was about to go. I was like, Ben Schwartz has got probably one of the best openings of the year, where he's just going all out singing, having a blast in his lab. Keith David's in this as well. There's just Arturo Castro. That's another guy I like. Louis Tan. I just shit all over him in Mortal Kombat, but he's solid in this. Dolph Lundgren, Emily Hampshire. There's a lot of people in this movie that I love. And this was just one of those movies that I was just like, I shouldn't be enjoying this as much, but it's so strong. And once again, because it's a Hulu movie, so many people have not seen this or will probably never even know what this movie is, much like Pizza Movie. And Hulu has definitely come out strong this year with their movies. And I really had a fun time with this. I have not watched it since the initial time, but I probably need to go back and rewatch it here again soon because I really want to like solidify that I did love this more than Pizza Movie, because it's like right there, you know. But like I told Brian before I shot this, my 3, 4, and 5 can easily flip on a dime. But I have this currently at my number 4.
My number 4, you had mentioned earlier, I believe in honorable mentions, and this is where I have The Invite.
Oh, okay.
The Invite. Now, this is a movie I want to revisit this one because I've seen it one time, but I saw it at a film festival screening with Olivia Wilde there in attendance and doing a Q&A afterwards, which usually when it happens, it affects how much you enjoy the movie, you know?
Yeah.
So I want to watch it in just a sterile environment, just either in a theater or at home eventually, where I can just me watch the movie and see if it still lives up to my expectations. But for right now, it's at number 4. For all the reasons Sean already talked about. Mostly the dialogue. I think that it is very smartly written. I think the pacing of everything, the pacing of the dialogue, because you can write great dialogue, but if you can't deliver it in the right pace and the right style, it's not going to work. And I think the 4 of these people work great together. I think Seth Rogen obviously has to be the most overtly funny just because that's kind of who he is. But I think that Olivia Wilde is kind of a revelation to me of how good she is at like comedic timing and the way she delivers lines. I think she's great at this. And as a comedy director, between this and Booksmart, I think she's somebody to really keep an eye on. You know, I didn't really love Don't Worry, Darling, but you know, that's why I think she should continue to direct comedies, because I think she does a great job here. But yeah, I love this movie and I hope I love it as much on rewatch.
Yeah. My number 3 is once again probably my biggest shocker that it's in my top 10, because these movies never are in my top 10. But there's certain movies that just you watch at the right time and it just hits you in a way where it's like, okay, I'm feeling everything that's happening in this movie. And that is movie's only been out for about 2 weeks now. Voicemails for Isabel on Netflix, starring our girl Zoe Deutsch, which helped a lot with this movie because we both are like, the way he is about Isa Gonzalez is the way we both are about Zoe Deutsch. We are just madly in love with this woman and we want her to do so much. Yeah, her, and you got Nick Robinson, who I've liked in, like I love Simon and Jurassic World and stuff. This was just a movie that just hooked into me from like the very first fucking scene. I bought into the relationship between the sisters and their love for each other, and then with what happens in the film. If you watch the trailer, you guys know what happens. I'm not going to try to say it right now because it still is very new. But the emotional beats hit me right in the heart, and there's a lot of moments where I got emotional with it. I wasn't like bawling, crying, but I definitely was feeling the same emotions that they wanted you to feel through this. I think that I would say it's more. It's got rom-com moments, but I will say it's kind of more drama than it is comedy. But I do think when it does hit its comedy, it works really well, especially with oh my God, Nick Offerman. I think Nick Offerman's character is funny, and the characters around him have their moments. Sometimes they're a little over top, but this movie is much like Set It Up, which is still another rom-com Netflix film that most people need to check out with Glenn Powell and Zoe Deutsch. This movie lets Zoe Deutsch do what she does best, which is be this incredibly energetic, charismatic, lovable person. And it's impossible to watch this movie and not just fall in love with this actress and how she is. And that's what made me probably love this movie more, is that this movie actually allows Zoe to be Zoe and does exactly the same reasons why we love Set It Up as much as we do, because that movie let Zoe be Zoe, and this one does the exact same thing. And like I said, beat for beat from beginning to end, I just loved this film. Do I think this will be in my top 10 by year's end? No, I don't. And do I think Pizza Movie, just because out of pure laugh and enjoyment, will jump this eventually? Yes, I do. But this movie was just at the right point, at the right time for me to watch this, that it hit me exactly where I needed to get hit to just completely fall in love with this film. So, yeah.
All right. I have two left. Is that where you're at?
Yes, I think it's the same two.
No.
So if it's not the same two, I'm surprised because you said Pizza Movie's at number two. I'm so glad that we don't have the same two, that you have Pizza Movie up at number two. But if it's not the same two, what the fuck? Because I'm pretty sure we have the same two. It's more which order we want to talk about them in.
Yeah. No, because my number three is The Wrecking Crew. I enjoyed the hell out of The Wrecking Crew. You got Dave Bautista, you got Jason Momoa, you got Marina Baccarin.
Are you fucking with me right now?
No, I'm not fucking with you right now. This movie was just fun as fucking hell, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. There are a few places where like there's some iffy special effects and stuff, which clearly they don't have Amazon streaming budget. But for the most part, I thought it looked really well. I would have rather seen this in a theater, but we didn't get to see this in a theater. But I like you've already discussed a lot of it, but it has kind of a Bad Boys feel, but kind of tailored to these two guys. And yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing sequels or just seeing them do more and more of these movies together, because they have great chemistry together too.
Okay,
great soundtrack too.
I was completely wrong then, because there's one movie that you completely left out of your top 10 that I'm shocked. Apparently, it didn't hit you the way I thought it. I thought you really liked it. That's my number one, so I guess I'll talk about it now then, because my number two is your number one then, unless you want to talk about that now.
Well, we're both going to talk about that more, so we'll wait. Hold that.
Okay, so my number one, which I thought was going to be in his top two, but apparently
it was my last honorable mention that I didn't want to give away ahead of time because I knew you'd be surprised it's not on.
I was like, what the fuck, man? Project Hail Mary is my number one of 2026 so far. I thought it was higher on Brian. This to me is what I feel like is the most complete film of the year. It has this amazing space adventure with Ryan Gosling and a rock named Rocky. I think it's got the action set pieces that it needs without going over the top. It's got great drama. Gosling is acting his ass off in this movie. It's got great comedic tone. It's got a great story. Yes, it does have like 3 different endings that they probably could have tied that up a little bit easier. But the visuals of this movie is brilliant and gorgeous. I didn't think I was going to care about a rock so much, but damn it, Rocky made me care the fuck about Rocky. Like, don't you hurt Rocky. Gosling, and the reason I think when I knew that this movie was going to be amazing is that there's a scene in this movie where Gosling is talking about this mission is a suicide mission. Like, he's not going to go home. Like, he's accepted that. He knows he's going to do this to save the world, but he's not going to make it home. And then Rocky basically says, I can get you home. And it's the acting of Gosling in that moment. It's that quiet moment where he's standing there and he's realizing, oh my God, like, I can actually go home again. Gosling knocks that scene so much out of the fucking park. It's ridiculous. I love this movie so much. And I wasn't like, and I've watched this like 3 times now. I think when I first watched it, I wasn't like crazy about the story structure of it and how it kind of intertwined in and out. But now that I've watched it a couple times, I get it. I'm on board with how they did it. But like I said, to me, this is the most complete film of the year. And I'm shocked it was on honorable mention for Brian. I literally thought that was in his top 2.
Well, it's been everywhere from like, I mean, for a while it was much higher. I mean, it's like 1 or 2, but it's been everywhere on my list from 3 to like down to honorable mentions, and it's moved all over the place, just even the past week. I can't decide where to put this one. If you ask me about like the best films of the year, like if I thought we should get Oscar nomination, I would have this on the list. I think it's great. And I like this one. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoy the movie. But when I think about the movies that, I just plain enjoyed the most, the ones I want to go back and rewatch, and the ones that that's what kind of dragged it down for me. And it could come back. It could be back on my top 10 list for the end of the year. And there's a good chance it might be. I don't know. Things, if I think about it, though, is 2 things kind of drag it down for me. One, I didn't give a shit about I don't know the character's name, Sandra Hüller, what her character. I didn't care about her storyline. There's way too much of her in this movie, honestly, in my opinion. Just they spent too much time on that. And 2, fucking Rocky. Because
what is with you and CG characters?
that's just it. Rocky is fucking Grogu. It's just that, oh, look at the cutesy little thing that he does, and isn't it so cute? No, you can't hurt Rocky. Don't let anything happen to Rocky. Like, fuck you. It's a fucking little cutesy thing. It's practically, just begging them to market like, little plushies of him or something. Was it an entertaining character? Yes. But I was like, couldn't we have like a, something more substantial for him to act against or interact with instead of what's clearly supposed to be a little cutesy, which between that and Grogu, it's just, this is the year of just me just going, rolling my eyes.
If you would have had Rocky be something more like an actual alien, then people were going to just say, why didn't Gosling try to fuck it? At least with The Rock.
Why would you try to fuck an alien? What?
Because it's an alien, and that's where people's brains would have went to with it.
What if it's a male alien, though? I mean,
it doesn't matter.
We don't know about him. I don't know.
So.
But I do like the movie. I was entertained by the movie. I think it's a very well made movie. Ryan Gosling does a great job. There's plenty to like about it. It does kind of drag out the endings. And I didn't care for Sandra Hüller, and for Rocky was fine. I don't hate Rocky, but I'm just like, okay, what's the big deal? So I don't know where to put this movie. As of right now, it's on my honorable mentions, but we'll see by the end of the year.
Okay. Which leads to Brian's number 1, my number 2 movie of the year. Brian has talked about this movie before. I talked about it like 2 months later when I actually was able to see it. It is hands down the best action film since 2018. Is that when The Night Comes For Us came out?
Oh, that one?
Can you think of a better action film since then?
I think it's 18.
I mean, Extraction 2 was great, but that was more for the set pieces, not because of the fighting.
Yeah, Night Comes For Us 2018, yes.
Yes. So, in my opinion, the best martial arts action film since 2018, we're talking about The Furious. Brian, I remember. Let's go back to when I first saw the trailer for this. I immediately went, I can't wait to show this to Brian. And I was like, Brian, this is where he goes, stop. Don't fucking send me anything. I'm going to see this at the festival. I don't want to see a single thing. And I was like, okay. And then we shot the festival review, and Brian had nothing but just over the moon glowing things to say about this.
You know what? You can all knock out two birds with one stone. The same video where I talk about Pizza Movie is the same video we're talking about The Furious.
That is very, very true. Except that it's not. I'm not saying anything about The Furious because I had.
Yeah, you have to track down his separate review.
Yes. But yeah, this Brian. I mean, I'll let Brian talk about it because it was his review. But I was so worried I wasn't going to get this movie because it's just a movie that probably wasn't going to get very many theaters. And where I'm located, we don't get those kinds of movies. And then I remember right in the middle of me, like literally the day I was moving, they do the secret movie thing on a Monday. And Brian goes, it's The Furious. It's The Furious. You need to go see it. I'm like, dude, I'm fucking moving right now. I can't stop to go see it. You're like, fuck the move, go see it. Yes. And so I was bummed. I was like, man, like, what if this is my only opportunity? Luckily, they did actually get it in my theater, only for like 2 screenings a day, which is bullshit.
Yeah.
And I was able to actually see this. This movie is fucking insane with its choreography. It is probably some of the best hand-to-hand close combat choreography that I've ever seen. I was in awe of watching the lead guy, Zai Mao. I'm like, why am I even trying?
I think it's G Meow. I don't even know.
The main dude. I don't even know why I'm trying to attempt to say his name, Sean. Come on.
His name is Wang Wei.
There's no W in that name. Oh, you're talking about in the movie.
No, his character's name. Just call him Wang.
Yeah, Wang. The way he's able to fight and like maneuver, but like there's a term in wrestling called chain wrestling where you are locked up with the guy and you are doing moves without breaking away from them. And you're having to kind of put on this choreographed performance where you guys are, switching up moves on each other. And you just have to know the person that you're doing it with to know that, hey, I'm going to go here and you're going to go here and then we're going to reverse it. And you just have to gel. Every single fight with Wang in this felt like that, where I'm watching it going, I don't know how long it took for them to figure out how to do this, or where the brain of, if you go through here and do this, you can do this, and this. And it was just awe-inspiring watching this. And then you get the actual fucking fighting on top of it and the characters throughout the movie. And the story's very simplistic, but it doesn't need to be overtly compelling. The story doesn't need to be, it just has to be solid, make sense, and coheres throughout the film, and let the action do the rest. And that's exactly what The Furious does. Then you got Joe Taslim, who's fucking amazing in everything he's in, martial arts style. And then you got Brian Lee, I think is his name, who's basically like the brute dude. And his fighting style, which like I said, is like a fucking gorilla. Like, I loved this movie. And then the final battle is like, I'm literally in my seat watching. There's only one other dude in the theater watching this because people have horrible fucking taste and don't know how to watch great movies. But there's one other dude in the theater, and as I'm watching this, I'm literally in my seat going, oh my God, we're going to do this. It's like, this is actually going to happen. And it's like 20 plus minute fight. And it was fucking epic. I loved it. It's amazing. I can't talk to enough people about this. But the problem is that I can talk as much as I want. Apparently no one cared enough to see it because it didn't really make any money.
Oh, I didn't expect it to make any money, but we're absolutely changing the name of that award. So
yeah. Brian, take it away.
Yeah, I like I said, there's a whole video of me raving about this movie. it's just, if you just want just pure action martial arts, it's brutal, it's bloody, it's creative on top of everything. It's so creative when they do these fights. There's like you've seen in the trailer. There's one that takes place in like an MMA cage, and like as he's beating the shit out of people with a hammer, he's basically climbing up this pyramid of people, beating up more and more of them. And it's just things like that. And it's just like the way that these people what these people can do it's just amazing what they do. And especially once it culminates in that final, like you said, like a 20-minute plus battle where it's like a three-way thing going on. And it's a
fatal five-way.
Yeah.
It's a fatal five-way.
Yeah, and it is amazing. I got exhausted just watching it as a viewer, much less being somebody that's in the fight. But I cannot recommend this movie enough. If you like action at all, go see this. I think as a movie in terms of plot thing, I don't know where I'd put it in terms of comparing it to like the Raid 1 and 2 and Night Comes. But in terms of pure action, I think this one beats them all.
Yeah, and before you people go, well, I don't like reading subtitle movies. There's a lot more English in this than I expected, because I fully expected to go into this movie going.
Yeah, and some people are saying it was like doing that computer dubbing thing where they like AI dubbed it.
It does with the cops.
But most of this movie was actually performed, because it's in a lot of those Southeast Asian countries. A lot of them speak whatever their tongue is and English, because it's kind of the global language. And so a lot of the movies they do like this way to appeal to a broader audience. So most of the stuff was in English, because even like the signs and things on the computer screens, it's a lot of it's in English, so it wasn't all dubbed. So like you were saying, there is some dubbing, but a surprising amount of it is in English.
And there is some subtitles, but it's not, like I said, I fully went into expecting it to be 99% subtitles, and it's maybe 20%.
Yeah, when they're fighting, nobody's talking, so you don't need to worry about it. So
yeah, exactly. So it's like if your reservations to go and see this, I don't want to sit there and read a movie the whole time, which you fuckers watch Squid Game, so there's no reason why you guys should. But you guys probably watch the horrible dubbing.
Don't read it. Just watch the action. Ignore the subtitles.
Exactly. But it's like the subtitles don't derail the film at all. And a lot of the times the subtitles is just like the quiet moments. But a lot of it is spoken in English. But literally, if you are an action fan and you're a fan of martial arts films and all that stuff, if you don't watch this movie, then you're not really a fan. Like, I'm sorry. I'm calling you all out right fucking now. If you don't watch The Furious, you are not a fan of action and martial art films or hand-to-hand combat films, because this is literally the upper tier of these kinds of films, and you have no excuse to not check this movie out. Now, granted, I don't know how much longer it's going to be in theaters. I just looked it up. It's done $6 million in the US, yeah. $31 million total.
It's still around like theaters near me, but it's like one showtime a day kind of thing.
Exactly. And like with mine, I think the Thursday night preview had 3 showings, and then after that it was only 2 showings, which is like, why is it one less showing now that it's actually fucking released? It makes no sense. But there's no reason for you guys not to check this out if you are a fan of that genre. If you're not a fan of that genre, then no, this is not gonna win you over. This is not gonna do anything for you. But if you are a fan of that genre, there's nothing that should keep you from checking out The Furious. That's it. That is our 2026 half year in review. What were your guys' thoughts? What were your favorite films of the year so far? Worst films, surprising disappointments? Let us know in the comments below. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and if you guys did, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, follow us on all those social medias I would see below. Also, like I said, you've been seeing it pop up in and out through the channel. We are now on Spotify, Apple, Amazon. So if you guys can't watch us, you can listen to us now. Go talking about all these films that we enjoyed and did not enjoy for 2026 so far. Coming up next, the next big movie for the summer, because we're in July now, so we are getting into the thick of summer. I mean, the next big movie is fucking Minions and Monsters, and we're not watching that bullshit.
Yeah, the next big one, the big one is probably Odyssey, although we might talk about Evil Dead next week. Yeah,
I mean, you got July 10th, you got Evil Dead Burn and Moana, which...
And Gail Daughtry in the Sex Packs.
Yes, and Gail Daughtry. I saw that there, too. I don't know if I'm going to see Evil Dead Burn right away. I'm not feeling it. I keep seeing the trailer, and I'm just not feeling it. Moana, I will say the second trailer of Moana made me feel better about it, but still not enough to the fact where I was like, I need to go see this in theaters. Yeah, I do feel better than I did the first trailer.
So I think
So
the
yes,
next review
big
you're going
one.
to see from us here on this channel will probably be the Odyssey because
Yeah, the
even
Odyssey.
if we saw Evil Dead, the day after it comes out, I have to leave on vacation, so I won't be recording anything. So.
Yeah,
But I might
Odyssey is
do it.
100% the next big one, but that's at the end of that's like the mid-month, so we're a couple weeks out from that. So you might not see anything coming from us here in a little bit because maybe take an actual little break. Not that we've been like working off crazy with videos, but we do have some things that we're ironing out, some new concepts, some new shows that we're figuring out. I'm not saying we're gonna have those dropped here in the next 3 weeks because I don't think we will. We probably more or less will probably end up waiting until after summer to start working on that stuff. But Odyssey is probably the next big one you'll get a review out of us from. Unless I see Evil Dead Bird and Moana, I might just shoot a single reviews for those if I go and see them without Brian because Brian will be on vacation. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at now. But we got plenty of stuff for you guys to check out in the meantime, like especially like this is a 3-hour something freaking video. But yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, let us know what your thoughts are of 2026 so far. Are you guys more positive or negative towards the year so far? Are you thinking that we're a little too hard on the horror films? Guess what? We're not going to change our minds on that. But nonetheless, we are the Movie Crusaders. I'm Sean Waskrug. That's Brian Michaels. And until next time, in case we don't see you, go watch some movies and go have some fun.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.